on.
From Studio 401, it's the Stranger Than Fiction News right here on The Fringe FM. I'm Vance Nesbitt, and here's our headlines. A man has been blinded by a parasite after showering with his contacts in. A keen sportsman who got contact lenses to improve his sight while playing soccer was told how he was blinded after wearing them in the shower when a parasite started living in his right eye. During the 18 months of horror, Nick Humphreys, 29, has had 2 operations on his eye and is now waiting for a corneal transplant after contracting a rare parasitical infection in his right cornea. Had I known how dangerous it was to wear contacts in the shower, I would have never gotten them in the first place, Humphreys said. After getting the infection, I went from hitting the gym every other day and playing soccer 3 times a week to being housebound for 6 months and losing the will to live. I got contacts as I didn't like how I looked in glasses, and it nearly cost me my right eye. Source, FoxNews.com. And it was raining catfish at Mumbai's Juhu airport in India. While some would say that it's raining cats and dogs in the city of Mumbai, those who visited the Juhu airport in the last couple of days would beg to differ. The tarmac of the country's busiest heliport was taken over by aquatic animals for a brief period last Saturday. The sight of catfish raining from the sky was there for all to see, right out of Leif Parsons' fictional novel, Only Fish Fall from the Sky. Source, Times Now News. And a man narrowly avoids being buried alive. A man in India who was thought to have died following an accident turned out to be very much alive. 20-year-old Mohammed Furqan was rushed to the hospital back on June 21st and was later declared dead after doctors reported that they had been unable to save his life. Not long afterwards, however, just as Furqan was about to be buried at his funeral, some of the mourners noticed to their surprise that his body appeared to be moving. Devastated, we were preparing for the burial when some of us saw movement in his limbs, according to his brother. We immediately took him to the hospital. That's where doctors said he was alive and was put on a ventilator support system. It later transpired that doctors at the private hospital had originally declared him deceased after the family had run out of money to pay for treatment. Source, Unexplained Mysteries. And now time for this edition's interesting fun fact. Jack Daniel, yes, the founder of the whiskey, died from kicking a safe. When he kicked it, he broke his toe, which got infected, and he eventually died from blood poisoning. Thanks for listening to the Stranger Than Fiction News right here on the Fringe FM. Again, I'm Vance Nesbitt, news anchor and sorcerer.
Message is being broadcast by the Department of Defense of the Republic. At 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, multiple unidentified objects were confirmed to have entered Earth's atmosphere.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS egress. Contact, nice in orbit.
The first message that comes to you is you are a divine being. You matter. You count. You come from realms of unimaginable power and light, and you will return to those realms.
The vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished still far outstrip our collective comprehension.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting from Forest Tower Studios, all the way from the Deep South. Now, here is your host, Joe Root.
Broadcasting from a shack on a hill in the Mossy Creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. This is Lighting the Void, and I am your host, Joe Roop. Welcome. It is Thursday night, the 15th, and tonight we are going to be discussing one of our favorite subjects on the show. I know some of you can't wait because you told me so. A little bit of dream interpretation and dream exploration with J.M. Debord. I cannot wait for this because, for one selfish reason, and one selfish reason alone, is that I've been having quite a bit of dream activity as of late. And some of it I just can't tell if it's just the brain scrambling, maybe my brain's trying to work something out. And then some of the stuff you have is deep, really deep symbolism. Sometimes it's things that just keep happening. And I've gotten some messages from Don. Oh, tell him the story about the crow and the bird. So it's interesting. We're going to go through all of this stuff tonight. And we'll take your questions as well. If you want to call in, it's 1-800-588-0335. If you call in, just be respectful. Ask your question to our guest, and we'll get right on it. And then there's a direct number too. If that number doesn't work, if the 1-800 line fills up, just call 501-424-5130. And if the lines fill up, all you got to do is just keep trying back. I want to thank you all for your support, and also let you know that this show was brought to you by GetTheTea.com. Remember, Monday night is the new webinar that's coming up. We will be there, and we will be giving you something. There's going to be a drawing for there's going to be a drawing, so show up. I don't want to tell you what I'm going to be giving something away this time. And then also the show's brought to you by AncientLifeOil.com, the best CBD oil on the planet, always has been, always will be. It's non-GMO. It's the stuff that you need. Keep it in your body. And we don't have to go deep into that because we all know why, and preparewiththefringe.com. Big shout out to UFO seekers. If you've had a sighting that you'd like to report, just give them a call at 661-UFO-7889. And I want to mention really quick, too, that Tim had retweeted that when I put authenticity gets punished. And if you notice that he retweeted that at UFO Seekers, and the reason why, I believe, is because a lot of us feel that way. But I can tell you, I would like to ease some minds just with the subject alone and tell you that some of the people that are in marketing and run these bigger events and bigger things, they're not about what you think. They're actually realizing that everybody's really digging and trying to find the truth more. And I think the tides are shifting, and it's because of people like Tim at UFO Seekers that's happening. And you can also check out his channel at youtube.com, what they're most famous for, youtube.com/UFO Seekers. Also, Health Matters Now. Go check out that channel as well. So our guest is going to be with us tonight, J.M. Debord, and he is the author of 3 books about dreams. His first book is Dreams 1, 2, 3, and he's widely praised as an insightful and user-friendly introduction to dream work. And his second book, The Dream Interpretation Dictionary, takes his teachings to the next level, providing a course in dream interpretation. Is a 2-hour quick ride through his 3 simple facts about dreams and 3 simple steps for interpreting them. Now, on any given day, you can find him at Reddit Dreams, which is dreams.reddit.com. That's cool. The world's largest online forum of dreams, which I'm kicking myself because I didn't even know about that, but I do now. where he is known as Rad Al, the dream expert, interpreting dreams, answering questions, and leading the internet's most popular community for dream enthusiasts since 2010. Now I feel really dumb. He has been giving his time and expertise to the Reddit community, believing strongly in its ethic of free and open sharing of knowledge and information. I really respect that. Jam, thank you for coming on Lighting the Void. I really appreciate your time, man.
Hey, thank you, Joe, and thank you for reaching the people who want to know about dreams and their interpretation. I know that you have a lot of listeners who are very interested in this subject, so for the next 2 hours, I think we're going to light them up.
Yeah, I do. And not only are they very interested about the subject, I've got people that I know, especially in like the Fringe FM chat, like Craven and others, that just are so, they're so intelligent about it. They know so much. It's so impressive to me, how this world becomes an entire subject of study, almost like it's its own, school with different subjects. And, yeah. I get a little bit intimidated, and I can't believe I've been missing out on something that big. You think if for somebody that loves dream interpretation would know about a community that's been there since 2010. So I feel kind of left out now, but I'm glad I found out about it because of you.
Well, we're glad to have you as to participate in the community and to contribute to it, to share with us your knowledge, your viewpoints. You know, we have almost 90,000 subscribers now. It's a fairly large subreddit. And when I first started in 2010, we had 5,000. So it has, it's growing exponentially. And I think that we are entering into a time when people are looking for authenticity and meaning. There is so much fake BS in the world these days. And a lot of people who claim to have good advice about how you should live your life and, et cetera. But your dreams are a source from within you that are providing you with authentic experience. They always tell you the truth, although, as you noted in your opening, sometimes it's symbolic. So you have to translate what the dream is saying to you. But it gives you something, a way of finding within yourself that thing that you're really looking for. It's that meaning and that purpose and that deep connection. So I love teaching this subject, and I think that I found a way of doing it, especially with my experience on Reddit, where you'll have people from all walks of life, from all around the world, from all skill and knowledge levels about dreams who come there. And I've found a way of finding that sweet spot where I can explain to newcomers the basics of how their dreams work and why they're important and how to decode the symbolism. But I can also get into people who've already been doing this for a while and they want to go to the next level. So we're able to talk to a very wide-ranging audience.
Wow. Yeah, I'm stoked about this already then. I think I want to start with this right off the bat, just so I kind of know where you and I stand. What are your thoughts on Carl Jung? And I say that, and I know that's like, oh, wow, Carl Jung, come on. But I say that because now it seems like when I get in the dream community, some people there's some people that just don't like Jung or don't agree with some of the things that he said. And I'm a big Jung fanatic now. What are your thoughts on Carl Jung?
I am one of the main moderators of the Carl Jung forum at Reddit. So go to Jung, Jung.reddit, reddit.com. That is another community that has really exploded with interest, especially since Jordan Peterson really became a big name in certain circles. And he has said that a lot of his insights have come from Jung, and he considers Jung to be one of the greatest thinkers, not only of the 20th century, but of all time. Jung he's deep, and he taught us more about dream psychology than any other single source, I think, in modern times. And he is misunderstood because to get into his teachings really requires a depth of understanding and real effort. I caught on to Jung 25 years ago when I first started in the dream interpretation. I kept running across his name, and I'm like, I've heard of him, maybe in a high school psychology class or something. There was a passing reference to him as being one of the godfathers of psychology, along with Sigmund Freud. And I'm like, well, who is this guy? And man, I tell you, Joe, I got into Jung, and that guy, he found a way of saying things that I knew deep inside of myself, and he could put it into the words of Well, psychology, but more of it's psychology for the masses. Once you break down what he really said, you find that what he was doing was mapping out how to get to the deepest inner reaches of yourself and how to have the experience of life that you're really born to have, how to find the fullest potential within yourself, which he calls individuation. It's becoming a whole and complete individual. And he said that that is our mission in life. It is our prime directive to be true to yourself and to find out everything that you're made of inside of yourself, to be afraid of nothing, to embrace it all. So Carl Jung is, I say he's my hero, in the sense that he's the greatest thinker I've ever run across in the field of psychology and consciousness. So I'm glad you mentioned him, because I would say about 75% of what I know and teach about dream interpretation originates with Jung.
Wow. Yeah, that's so cool. Because when I started reading him, the first book that I read was the Dreams Memoirs, that book, and when he takes you through his
reflections. Yes.
Yeah. And immediately he goes into his Christian upbringing, his childhood, and, how his parents kind of questioned what he was saying, trying to tell him how to think and all this stuff. And it's almost like you immediately realize just how curious and how intelligent he is. And I'm kind of a beginner at Jung. I don't claim to be an expert or anything. I'm just now learning about it. And what I'm fascinated about is with dream interpretation and with this whole idea of what Jung talks about is how you can use what's in your dreams to directly affect what's in your life, or vice versa, if you know how to do it. And I'm sure that you understand what I'm talking about. What are your experiences with that? How dreaming has changed your life based on interpreting it and how you work with it?
Well, first, when people tend to think of their dream lives as being totally separate from their waking lives, that when they wake up, that they're leaving that other reality, that other place, and it was just sort of a fantasy that was going on in their sleep, in their head, and then they enter into the quote-unquote real world, and that there's no connection between the two, but it's actually a continuum. It's a cycle. Your dreams respond to what's happening in your life, especially inside of yourself, but they can also respond to the events of your life. And then the cycle continues so that when you're awake, you are actually, all the dream material is still subconsciously in your mind. In fact, Jung says that you continue to dream beneath the threshold of conscious awareness while you are awake. That this faculty of the mind doesn't just switch off completely, that it's still there, and that the unconscious mind is like a larger personality that is independent of the conscious mind. The unconscious is always there. It's what creates your dreams, and it is observing you, and with the idea in mind that it can help you to individuate. Its goal in the long run is to help you become that greater person that you really are. Inside of your unconscious mind is the blueprint for becoming that person. So it's a continuum, so that how you react while you're awake to what you dreamed is then the next night assimilated into your dreams. So there's this back and forth that goes on with dreaming and being awake. They are two sides of the same coin. So I think it's really important to understand that. Also, that your dream experiences are real while you are having them, and you believe that they're actually happening, at least in most types of dreams, except for like lucid dreams where you become conscious while you're dreaming. But what this really means for us is that you really do know deep down inside of yourself what's going on in your dreams. You understand it because you're creating your dreams, and there's this feedback loop that goes on between these two sides of you. Now, I got into this because I had found myself at a point in my life where I needed the guidance and direction from something. I was in college and I had hit a wall. I was like in my third year. I was studying government and media, and I found that it just wasn't exciting me anymore. And I told you I ran across Carl Jung, and it was through the writings of Larry Pesavento, who is the founder of the Christos Center in Cincinnati, Ohio. And Larry's writing kept referring to Jung and to dreams and all this. And I'm like, well, I need to go talk to this guy, So
Right.
I found myself in his office. And what he taught me is that the dreams you have by night are influencing the dreams you have by day, in the sense of the goals and ambitions and the type of person that you want to be, the thoughts about what you want to do with your life, what you want to accomplish, and not just accomplish in the external sense, but what person that you want to be and what you want to develop into. So there's this very close relationship between the two. And when I found that, like, Joe, I know that you're really into, just consciousness and all the features and aspects of it.
Right.
Well, dreaming has this amazing way of helping you to get access to all of that. And it opened up a lot of doors for me so that I could go into other areas of the study of consciousness and the exploration of it in a very, very personal way. And so that was 25 years ago. And, for the first 15 years or so, it was just more private study and talking with friends and stuff like that. And then I had an experience where I met someone who was having very powerful dreams, and she was a very smart person. She's my wife now. And I was able to help her to understand what her dreams were really saying to her. And I could see the benefit that it did for her. And I said, man, I gotta do something with this, because I have a way of explaining this that demystifies the subject. And so that's when I wrote my first book, Dreams 1, 2, 3, which is kind of a user-friendly beginner's guide to dreams and their interpretation. And so it's progressed since then, where I've written more books and, created an online school at dreamschool.net and all that. But really, it all comes back to me being that early 20s young man who felt like he needed to find his way in life. And my dreams were the catalyst for that. They've become like a guide and a friend. It's something that provides more for me and a richness of experience. I was starting to say earlier that your experience of dreaming is real while you're having it. And here's something, Joe, that Carl Jung said: deep in the mind, your dream experiences register the same as your waking life experiences. It's like an experience. It settles down inside of you. Here's a dramatic example of it. Have you ever woken up from a dream where, let's say, something had happened in the dream physically to you? You fell off of a cliff. You got hit by something. You got shot in the chest. And you wake up and your body actually still feels it.
Oh, yeah.
In a muted sort of way. But you can actually feel the pain in your nervous system. Your nervous system is registering what's happening in the dream as if it's actually happening.
Yes.
Now, that's not to say that if you fall in a dream and you hit the ground, this is an old wives' tale or urban myth. This is that if you die in a dream, you'll die and for real. Now, I don't know anyone who's lived through that to be able to tell us that,
Exactly,
oh yeah, I
right?
died because I was in a dream, right? But I do know plenty of people who've died in a dream and woke up from it and went, oh, well, I guess I'm okay now. But I have had that experience of hitting the ground, falling and falling and falling in the dream and hitting the ground. And then
the emotions too, though,
oh yeah, very much.
Not the physical thing that gets me, but I've had dreams where I've waken up from it and just been like, thank God that didn't really happen, because it was so real to me in the dream. These types of dreams that I'm talking about, where someone dies or something terrible happens, and I'm not trying to take this to a dark place. I'm just relating to you, where I will wake up in tears sometimes, and it was so real. And I guess the relief is beyond explanation when I realized that was just a dream. That's how real things get. That's how real they are to me. So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Because it's not really just a dream. It's an experience you're having that's registering deep in your mind and even in your nervous system as a real experience. Yeah. So I think that this is something that when you approach dreams, that this is one of the first things that you have to get into your mind, that your approach to it is the dream is a real experience. It's real while you're having it. So what I teach at Dream School is to approach it and ask yourself this question every time you're trying to understand a dream. Why did you give yourself the experience? You created that dream experience for a reason. Now, it's coming from that unconscious mind that I referred to earlier, which is this larger mind that exists in the background, but it comes to the foreground during dreams. When you're asleep, your senses shut down, your conscious mind kind of goes into the background, and the unconscious mind comes forward. The reverse happens when you wake up. Your conscious mind wakes up and says, hey, okay, I'm in charge now. And the unconscious mind goes into the background, and it's still there, and it's still observing what's going on. So you always ask, why did you give yourself the experience? Because there is a reason for it. And if you can understand the reason why you gave yourself the experience, then it can help you to interpret the dream.
I'm so in agreement with you on that. It's like I've told people on the show, please keep a dream journal, because a lot of the stuff we're going to be talking about, even if it's not about dreams, is going to be important if you can. And you don't have to write it, I guess. And maybe I'll wonder what your thoughts are on that. But I always thought, look, if you can just keep a record of it, even if you hit record on your phone, just try to keep as much of a record as you can, because this stuff is so important. What are your thoughts on that?
It's step one of my Dreams 1, 2, 3 dream work system. Your first step is you have to remember your dreams. And if you remember your dreams, you want to write them down. This does a few things for you. One is that it gets you in the practice of being able to delve deeply into your dream memories so that you'll have better recall of them. It also sends a message deep down into yourself, to your unconscious mind, which is creating your dreams. And remember, it's an autonomous, independent part of the mind that is 95% or more of the total mind is unconscious. It is always observing, and it sees how you react to it. If you wake up and go, I'm going to make time to write down this dream, and you make a habit of it, the unconscious mind says, great, you're paying attention. Thank you. Now I can respond to this by enriching and opening up more of your dream life for you. And oftentimes it begins with just journaling your dreams. And if you don't remember anything, but you can just write down the feeling and the tone that you have when you wake up. This is a very important tip, by the way, for people who don't remember their dreams very well, is they say, well, if I can't remember any dreams, then I don't have anything to journal. And I go, well, look, just start here. Did you dream? Okay. Do you remember anything? You don't have to remember the content. Did you dream? And then they go, well, yeah, I dreamed something. Good. How did you feel when you woke up? Well, I was feeling kind of anxious. Okay, good. That means that there was probably something in the dream content that is still lingering into your waking state. So now we can start there. What are you feeling anxious about right now in your life? Oh, I got a big decision to make about something going on at work. And then they go, oh, that's right. I dreamt I was at work last night. And then boom, there it is, man. The memories just they load back right into the conscious mind, and they start coming back. Yeah. So it also gives you data over time to track. I can't tell you how valuable my dream journal has been. And I tell you, I got notebooks full of dreams. And every once in a while, I go back and I go, what have I been dreaming about for the last month or two? And I'll go back and look at them and I'll go, oh yeah, I forgot that dream. Or, hey, there's 5 dreams in a row where I was back in my, apartment that I lived in when I was in college, or the job that I worked at when I was first out of college, or whatever it was. And I go, well, why are my dreams bringing this in? There's a reason for this theme to recur in my dreams. There's a message behind it. There's a reason why I'm giving myself this experience. It is so valuable for being able to see what is going on inside of yourself. That is really what your dreams are, in a sense, is they are a window into the deepest processes that are going on inside of you. And it's invaluable that way. I know so many people these days who are just living on the surface of their life, the surface of their mind. They're not penetrating any deeper into themselves. Mm-hmm. In fact, some of them, they're afraid of finding out what's really going on. Oh, no, I don't analyze my dreams because I'm afraid of it. Sometimes they're scary. I don't want to know that stuff. And I go, what? You don't want to know more about yourself? You don't want to know how you really tick inside? You don't want to know what's going on in your feelings and emotions, which, by the way, dreams are very good for venting and clearing the emotional banks. I'll get this at Reddit sometimes, Joe. People will say, hey, I had a hard day yesterday, and then my dreams last night were so, I woke up and I was, like, God, why do they do that to me? Like their dreams are torturing them or something. And I go, do you realize that if you would have woken up stuffed full of those emotions without being able to vent them in your dreams, how would you have felt?
Right, exactly. And, you know, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I want to get into that. Also, I want to get into some of maybe the parallels that we all have when we dream, because even as unique as a process this is to each individual, there might be some parallels that we all experience, or maybe not. We're going to find out when we come right back with J.M. Debord. Stay with us.
This is Corbin, son of the one and only Joe Root, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
Hola, Fringe listeners. This is Dave Cruz of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
Come, walk through the mossy creek and up the hill. Never mind the flashing lights and otherworldly shadows. They stay hidden within the trees. Come, step up to the shack and begin your journey to the answers that you seek. This is Lady Anne, and you are listening to Lighting the Void on The Fringe FM.
Listen, I want to tell you about G.I. Joy from GetTheTea.com. It's the best alchemical concoction of goodies for your stomach and digestive system I can recommend, and that's all based on my experience. Packed with colostrum, acidophilus, aloe, peppermint, and turmeric. If you do your own research, then you know this is the bee's knees for the stomach and digestion. Now, due to Big Brother's ears and the eye in the sky, you know I can't go into the details about what it helped me with. All I can say is I got relief. It's non-GMO, no fillers, no preservatives, manufactured right here in the US of A, and delivered to you by the only people who stay on top of the game and are out in front. Go grab a bottle of G.I. Joy at GetTheTea.com and see what all the fuss is about. Again, that's GetTheTea.com.
So, have you heard of heavy metals? I'm not talking about the heavy metals in the junkyard. I'm talking about the heavy metals that build up in your body. Heavy metals in your body can make you feel sluggish, fatigued, and just plain off. Why not try Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com? Cleansing your body and making you feel great. No, not cleansing the outside of your body, but cleansing the inside of your body of intruders that sneak their way into you and set up an intruder camp. Life Change Tea helps remove unwanted intruder camps. Brew it, steep it, and drink in the results. Tastes great, so you can create a new health habit. Our tea loves to help people. It just needs the chance. So order yours today by logging on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Our Life Change Super Strength Tea is waiting. This could be a beautiful relationship. Take charge of your health. Order at GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
Alex. Hi, I'm Alex Exum, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
We've heard your feedback loud and clear. You called it out, and now we're answering. All new live programming, 5 nights a week. Always remember, The Fringe FM is for you, the listener, and we appreciate your feedback. Keep the feedback coming. You can email us at talkback@thefringe.fm, call the station at 501-777-5631, or send us a message on Facebook at The Fringe FM.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
All right, everyone, this is Justin from the UK. Excuse the chitty. If you're into the Fringe and you want to hear the brass tacks, my old china plate, Joe Roop and his guests on Light in the Void will open your mince pies. You need to shut your north and south and use your 10-speed gears and listen to them bubble. You could hear a Barry Crocker, no Brussel, but he ain't no holy friar. Anyway, you beat a Barnaby Rudge and take a butcher's.
I'm Ryan Gable, and I want to remind you to keep your radio, phone, tablet, or computer tuned to The Fringe FM, and visit the website thefringe.fm to listen to the entire lineup of shows. You can also catch my broadcast, The Secret Teachings, Monday through Friday, beginning at 12 a.m. midnight U.S. Pacific Time, right here on The Fringe FM.
Howdy, this is Catalina, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
Listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void, live on the Fringe FM. Don't forget the show's here for you 5 nights a week, regardless of the sick days that I had. We're here 5 nights a week, 9 p.m. Pacific to midnight. And tonight, we are going back through a consciousness exploration in the field of dreams, interpreting dreams, analyzing your dreams with the one and only J.M. Debord, author and instructor who's got courses on his website too as well. I think that's really cool. I'm a big fan of learning, J.M. Like I want to learn as much as possible. And when it comes to things like online courses and stuff like that, I just eat that stuff up when it comes to classes like this. Especially anything to do with consciousness exploration. So I'm really glad that you're doing that, and I hope you keep it up.
All the content, and then finding a way of appealing to, a wide swath. I've had more than 2,000 students in 200 countries take my courses. So I'm wow. Really proud of that and happy that the message is getting out there. Dreamschool.net. I'm on Udemy also. If you look up how to interpret dreams, my free course will come up there, and I also have some paid courses there. But
and that's UDEMY, Udemy, right?
Yeah, Udemy. Yeah, I used to call it Udemy, and then somebody said, "You mean Udemy?" And I went, "Oh, yeah, okay." Well, yeah, man. There's courses on dream characters, on dream symbols. Even I've created some specialty courses too, such as how to understand dreams about love and relationships. So there's a lot that can be offered there. And if you love to learn, I go into depth. These are not those little 1-2 hour courses that it's suddenly, just a quick skim across the top of a subject. I treat this like you are in a college class and I'm your instructor, and I'm going to teach you everything that I possibly can.
That's fantastic. I'm just that way. Everybody that knows me knows, like, if there's a course on audio and radio, I'm going to take it. If there's a course on consciousness exploration, whether it's OBEs, lucid dreaming, or whatever, I'm going to take it. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I will find my way through your courses. That's going to happen. And I think, I don't know if I want to talk about, I got to, okay. So I mentioned something to you during the break, and I just want to go down this road because I want to try to explain how important these things are in our life. Because we all have issues we got to work out. We're all trying to figure out who we are and what's this thing about life about and stuff. So when you were speaking earlier just about how interacting and understanding the symbolism and what's going on in your dreams can change your life, I will tell everybody a very awkward thing. Okay. And this guy might be listening and I don't care. But everybody's got this that I know of, somebody usually in your life that makes you feel awkward. Right, that you don't want to be around. If you go out to a bar or whatever, and they go and you're like, oh no, it's going to be another one of those nights and blah, 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 just somebody that you just can't get rid of in your life for some reason. They keep coming back around and you could just really do without them. And if you're listening, brother, I'm sorry, but that's who you are to me. So, when it's been years since I heard from this person, they call me back on the phone and leave a voicemail, and I'm like, oh God, not again. Please don't, I don't want to go through this again. And I'm trying to express this to the people in my everyday life, Jay. I'm like, just tell them what's wrong. And I can't express to them or tell the story because it's so long and detailed. But in my dream, it's almost like my dream just put everything into one experience. And I find myself with this dude I'm talking about, I ain't going to say his name, fully naked, pressed up against me, face forward against a wall. And I'm like, dude, get away from me, right? Like, get off of me, please. And I wake up feeling that way. And so I write that down, and I've been picking that apart for the past few days. And I'm starting to understand exactly every little detail of why I feel that way around the dude. And I can't wait to tell him, because maybe he will go away forever after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. The dream, here's the first thing to understand about a dream like that. When you want to approach understanding, decoding the symbolism, dreams create physical representations of personal situations. They take what could be an idea or a feeling or something like that. It is non-physical, non-material, but it turns it into imagery. It turns it into action. So when you are pinned against the wall, that could show as such an idea like, I can't get away from this person no matter how much I try. That physical act of being pinned against the wall is actually an expression of your thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. Now, here's the other thing, is he's naked while he's doing this. Now, people could pick that apart, and if you refer to, say, a standard dream dictionary, it's going to tell you things like, well, nakedness can mean that you're seeing the person within. There's no clothes to hide behind, but here's another factor. A dream is a story, and you need to approach it that way. Now, imagine that this is a television drama, and they want to heighten the drama of the scene even more. There you are with this person that you have had this thing going on for all these years, and suddenly he's back, right? So the tension is high, the drama is high, and the writers of the story, they go, well, how could we raise the stakes even higher? I got it. Let's make him naked so that you feel even more awkward, But here's another thing, Joe, is dreams enact metaphors. Once you really get this lesson down, it will open up many of your dreams, because metaphor is a way of creating a comparison that is symbolic. It is saying one thing is like another. So when somebody who is naked and in a dream, you would look at it and go, well, have I heard figures of speech that use ideas like naked? Okay, naked, bare. If you're bare, what does it mean? How about the bare truth? The bare naked truth. Maybe you've been wanting to say to this person what is really on your, how you really feel. You want them, you like, dude, you're too much. You're too much for me. I'm sorry. I love you, but we need to go our different ways.
Right.
This is the bare truth, And so he is naked in the dream because of that. Now, here's something that you would learn if you take my dream characters course, is you would know right away, what am I seeing about myself in him? Because when he is in my dream, he is an aspect of myself.
A reflection
so there is
of some
something,
kind.
Yeah. So it's not just him by reappearing in your life and leaving you that voicemail and stuff like that. It's not just him that has you feeling pinned. It's because there's something about him that is now absorbed into you. And that is what the instigator of that feeling is. You could react a different way to him when he left that voicemail, but instead you reacted by feeling like you're pinned. There's no way out of it.
Yeah, I didn't even call him back.
Really him in the dream. Yeah, it's not really him in the dream. It's you. So, sometimes dreams are more literal. And sometimes when you have a person that who's in a dream, it could be because you've had some kind of recent interaction with them. And you had in your case, but you always look how you react internally to these people who are in your life, because the image of them in your dream is the psychological impression that they have made on you. So really, it's the part of them or the impression of them that is inside of you that appears in your dreams as a character that looks like them. Have you ever had, now there's a guy right now who's he's probably still sitting in a prison cell, okay? Because he woke up from a dream that his wife was cheating on him. This is a very common dream theme, right? Cheating is a way of telling a story, right? It's a way of expressing feelings. It's symbolism of some kind. But instead, he woke up and he beat the crap out of his wife to the point where he got sentenced, I think it was to 9 years in prison. He must be a real piece of work, right? So this is something that, it's like, well, you're the woman in your dream who looked like your wife, who was cheating on you. It wasn't your wife. This is something in you.
It was your internal issues.
Your own feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your own insecurities. You feel cheated in some way by life. Now, the dream is taking an alternate definition of the word, right? You feel cheated for whatever reason, and the dream shows it as being cheated on in a relationship. The feeling is the same. You feel cheated, right? But it's what it's doing is it's taking this other definition of what cheating means, and it's enacting it for you. It's taking the idea and it's weaving a story around it.
Okay.
This is how you get into your dreams to understand them as stories that are told through symbolism, which are simple facts number 2 and number 3 that I teach about dreams. Number 2, dreams are stories. Number 3, dreams are stories told using symbolism. You always have to approach them that way. Very rarely are they literal. So that's where you have to start. When you dream about someone that and they're in a dream, well, dude, why are you naked? Dude, why were you pinning me up against the wall? And then you go, dude, to yourself, how do I feel constrained or pinned, unable to get away? How do I feel like I need to tell the bare naked truth to this person? Or is it something that I need to admit to myself first? So, that's how you would walk through a dream like that, to really understand it. And I'm glad that you've been working with the dream, because it sounds like to me that it's helping you, even if you don't fully understand it, you do know how you felt in the dream, and you can start there. You go, man, I feel, pinned down. I feel awkward. It's really awkward having a grown man sitting there naked, pinning me up against the wall.
Yeah, face first too. That was the weird thing about it, man. Just junk and all, and I'm like, dude, get away from me. And that's how I don't exactly, and I see what you're saying now. I don't exactly remember what I did. I just remember the feeling. And in my journal, I wrote down, this is validating my feeling about it. But it didn't really, so how important are the details? You know what I mean? Like the details of the situation.
Well, first you need to understand the dream as a story, and that sometimes the details in a dream are there because they help to tell the story. So there can be something, I approach it much the same way as if you were deconstructing a movie and you go, well, why did they set the movie in this particular setting for this scene? You do the same thing with the dream. You go, well, why did the dream choose this setting? Why did it choose XYZ characters to bring into the dream? There's a casting director in your mind that chose them all very specifically for the roles that they played. Why did these certain actions play out? Okay, author who wrote this story or screenwriter, tell me why you created this scene. What's the idea that's behind it? What was your purpose? What were you trying to accomplish? Then there's another side of the coin. There's story analysis, and the other side of the coin is decoding the symbolism. Now, Carl Jung says that everything in a dream comes together into a big picture. It's all purposeful. It's all meaningful. He says that understanding symbolism is your first step to interpreting dreams. But he also says that while you're interpreting the dream, that you need to forget some of those high-minded ideas about symbolism and approach it as an experience that is deeply meaningful to you, that is deeply emotional, and really focus on that and pull out of it what you can. But I do teach people, Joe, this is the first thing I really have to teach them, and this is what really helped me as a dream interpreter, or as just as someone who's interested in my dreams and really wants to know what they mean, is it's a language. Symbolism is a language. You need to learn how to translate that language. And then you look at it in the story context, and then you find the parallels with your life. And like you did with your dream, sometimes it's as simple as just saying, this is a feeling that I pulled out of the dream. It was very distinct. I felt it while I was dreaming. And this is the parallel with how I'm feeling in my waking life about the situation I was able to trace this to. You were able to trace it to, this person that you know and him getting in contact with you again. And you go, okay, well, there's something out of this that I can pull out of this to help me to flesh out the feelings. It's not necessarily validation. I'm not going to tell you how to interpret your dream.
Sure.
Because dreams are known for just reflecting what you're feeling. It's like, hey, I'm really, pissed off at my boss right now. Then you have a dream where you're screaming and yelling at your boss, and then you wake up and you go, well, that means I have every right to be pissed off at my boss. Well, no, the dream isn't necessarily saying that. It's not to say it is or it isn't, but the dream is probably really just reflecting how you feel about the situation. And it might be helping you to vent some of those feelings so that you don't go in and punch your boss the next time that he does or she does something
right.
that
So
pisses you off.
Yeah. So what about, yeah, exactly. But it makes you think about, the funny thing is when you get that feeling again, in my experience, it makes me think about the dream I had. Like, again, there it is. It brings it back like you're talking about recall. And, now I don't know if the details get better, if I'm just remembering it differently. But anyways, I never pick up any books on dreams. I don't know why. I think it's because I read Jung and my understanding of what you just said. Like, I'm not going to interpret your dreams for you because I don't think they work. Now, I could be wrong, but when there's books on dreams and symbolism and stuff, are there really parallels? Like if I saw an apple and you saw an apple, or is there anything like that represents parallels in your mind in everybody's dreams?
There are more common meanings to those symbols, and it's a good place to begin. And you can often find them in like a dream dictionary or something where you go, okay, well, let me look up apple, the entry for that in this dictionary, and let me see the suggestions that it has. So it says, hey, an apple could represent, let's say, temptation, because there was the Garden of Eden and the apple and all that kind of stuff. Okay, well, that's possible for some people that's what the symbolism could mean in their dreams. Well, let's also look at metaphors. Like I mentioned earlier, you're always looking for figures of speech and metaphor. And you go, oh, apple of my eye. Okay, well, is there something in the dream that seems to indicate that was a meaning behind? Is it enacted in some other way? Are there other details that connect together to point you in that direction? See, dreams don't just leave you hanging. They don't just throw an apple in a dream and give you nothing else to help you to understand what the apple means. They put the apple into a context. It tells a story, and the apple is part of the story. So if the apple is being, hey, this person was handing me the apple and it blocked my view of their eye. So it looked like the apple was like part of, one eye was actually an apple. And you go, okay, well, apple in my eye, who am I feeling fond about, But here's another thing, Joe. Sometimes dreams are about what's going on in your body. In fact, the psychic Edgar Cayce says it's the most common type of dream is the dreams that are basically your body reporting in. And I found dreams that are kind of obvious. It's like, oh yeah, there was an apple, it was sitting on the table. It looked really delicious. And you go, well, do you need to eat some more apples? Because your body knows what you need. It knows what you need for as far as nutrients, and apples have certain nutrients in them that your body is aware. It says, hey, we need this nutrient. Why don't you go eat an apple? Hey, and why don't I give you a suggestion? I'll put this apple in your dream, Here's another one. You're sitting underneath a tree and the apple hits you in the head. Now the dream has created an action. The apple falls and hits you in the head. It puts it into a context. You're sitting there under a tree and you go, oh, well, wait a minute. Where have I heard this story before? Oh, yeah, Isaac Newton. He was sitting under the tree. The apple fell, hit him in the head, and he went, oh, okay, well, there's this thing. It must be like pulling a force that's pulling that apple down toward the ground. What is that force? maybe I'll invent a word for it. Let's call it gravity. So you have to put it into a context. There are 1,000 different things that an apple could mean. An apple could mean something to you that is very personal to you in your experience of life. Like, maybe when you were a kid, you're sitting there in the front of the bus and some bully in the back of the bus, who's also the pitcher for the baseball team, whizzed an apple at you and it hit you in the back of the head. Like your experience is like an apple is something that comes out of nowhere and knocks you upside the head. It symbolizes that experience of unexpected attack. And then you go, well, is there a parallel lately that's happened in my life? Oh, yeah. That dude called me up on the phone out of the blue and just started coming at me, well,
how do you know
this is how you have to.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, it's okay.
How do you know that you're not just over analyzing stuff for your, do you teach that? Because that's what I worry about. Cause I've got a couple of dreams that I almost wrote books in trying to analyze. And I'm thinking, okay, I don't know why I can't find the answer to this, right? And maybe I need to keep having a certain dream or something. I tend to overanalyze. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah. Well, your dreams are also showing you what is emerging in your unconscious mind. And by nature, unconscious is outside of your conscious awareness. Mm-hmm. So a lot of what you see in your dreams, and even what I see in my own dreams, Joe, after all these years of interpreting dreams, it takes, a day, a week, a month or longer before the real meaning of it fleshes out, because it's new to me. It's by nature, dreams are hard to understand for that reason. I mean, add on the fact that they're stories told symbolically, and there's all this metaphor, and, that they're expressing feelings through actions, and that these visual representations in the dream are actually representing intangible things. The apple represents, let's say, temptation. Temptation is a feeling, but it's showing it as a physical thing, as an apple. So the dream is saying, you feel tempted by something. How can I express this? How can I pack a dream symbol with this information that's in it? How can I show it to you? So it creates it. So you can overanalyze. And this is simple fact that I teach, number one, about dreams. Subconsciously, you know what your dreams mean. Do you know why that's a true statement?
Because it's you. I mean, it's everything inside of you.
Yeah, you create your dreams. So you must know what they mean. So that's where I have to start people with this, because I go, look, what you're doing when you interpret a dream is you are trying to remember what you already know. So everything that you do to interpret the dream, that is what's behind it. That is what you're really trying to do.
So maybe stop thinking that it's an outside force affecting you and realize that it's you doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And even sometimes the things that happen outwardly in your life can be influenced by how you're feeling, what state is going on inside of yourself. A lot of it can be, unconscious even. I've seen this before in poltergeist experiences. The things that are rattling around the house and the apparitions that are being seen are actually projections from inside of somebody who lives in that house. It's been found over and over again. The things that are coming into your dreams. I tell you what I'm glad you brought up the subject. The hardest dreams for me to help for people to interpret are the ones where they've seen something like a witch or a demon or an alien, and insist that it must have happened. They go, no, it really happened. It was a demon in my dream. The aliens were at my bedside. They might have even opened their eyes and thought that they saw the aliens. And I go, okay, so you woke up out of a deep state of sleep and you saw an alien at your bedside. Okay, now, were you still dreaming? Well, no, my eyes were open. Oh, you don't know that you can dream while you're awake? Especially when you're coming out of a dream state, and you'll have a dream overlay. Your eyes are open, you're taking in that sensory information, but the dream state is still going on. So the dream imagery is overlaying it. It's like being photoshopped into it, It's like, oh yeah, it's an alien, but no, you're actually in a state of sleep paralysis. So this is the hardest thing sometimes for me, is when I have people who won't get past that thing where they say, well, no, the dream was literal. And I go, no, dreams are very, very rarely literal. They're almost always subjective. They're almost always figurative and symbolic.
Fascinating. Yeah, I think in our community, in the paranormal and stuff, we've had these discussions too, where a lot of times, did you actually see that? Like, was it really there, or were you in just a different state of consciousness? Were you sliding into a different state of consciousness or something? Like right before you go to sleep or after you wake up? And even Whitley Strieber himself came on this show, the guy that wrote Communion, right? I mean, came on the show and said, look, I'm not so sure what happened to me was physical aliens like I thought it was back then, because he's been doing a lot of consciousness exploration. He has his whole life, you know. So yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's, you know, the dream state, you believe that it's actually real while it's happening. Your objective mind is in the background, and you have this experience that feels very real. So you really, to understand a dream, that's one of the first things you have to do is set all that stuff aside. You have to ask yourself, why am I giving myself the experience? And what is it about my inner world that I'm seeing projected into the dreamscape? The dream creates the landscape, the dreamscape, based off of what is your inner world. Think of it this way. Your inner world is, if the dream is like a movie in the sense that your inner world is the film, the dream is the light that goes through, the dream experience is the light that projects through the film, and the dream setting is that projection onto the screen. It's being projected onto your mind's eye. And then you're not only the audience who's watching the movie in that sense, you are a participant in the dream,
That's so
in the
trippy
story.
To think about, man.
You're the main actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're also the director. This is something that Carl Jung said. It's it's a very famous quote about dreams. He said, your dreams you have to look at it as you are the author, the director, the stage manager. You know, you're the casting director. You're the choreographer. You are actually in the back of your mind playing all these roles of creating this experience. Once you understand that, you can go, well, why did I give myself that experience? What is it? I call it reverse engineering the dream. Once you understand the mechanics of dreaming like this, then you can start to reverse engineer by going, well, why did the dream choose that setting? Why did that action happen? You know, and why did I wake up and see aliens at my bedside?
Right.
And then I go, could you move? They go, oh no, I was paralyzed. The aliens had me paralyzed, man. And I go, did you know that in medical literature that's called rematonia? Rematonia is a normal state. When you are in a deep dreaming state, your body basically sends out this hormone that it paralyzes your body so that you can't act out. Your nervous system is muted so it won't act out the content of the dream. You've probably seen people and experienced this where you thrash in your sleep. You kick your legs. You dream that you're running and you'll kick your legs a little bit. You dream that you're, punching something and you'll actually flail your arms and stuff.
I've done that before. I've smacked the wall before and I broke two of my fingers doing that once. Listen, I got to take a break here. We're 5 minutes over, but I want to keep talking about what you just said there, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's funny how, and not only are, like you just said, you're the actor, the director, that's you doing all that. But then your body is willing to go through it too. So we might want to ask ourselves what reality actually is sometimes. We'll be right back with J.M. Debord. Don't go anywhere.
I love magic, and on Lighting the Void, each and every week, you will get to hear shows about magic, mysticism, and many other subjects that stretch your mind and imagination. So when I got my mind on the magic and the magic on my mind, I listened to Lighting the Void on the Fringe FM. It's magic.
May the gods look with favor upon you.
You're wondering what we're going to do to you, aren't you?
This is Elle. I listen to Lighting the Void because it's interactive radio with good content, interesting guests, and a humble host, sharing his journey through the esoteric. Hey, Joe Roop. Thanks for having us along for the ride.
Thank you so much for the delightful evening.
Well, I got a lot of ground to cover.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners, did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
Somewhere between abnormal and paranormal, there's a show called Into the Paranormal. I'm Jeremy Scott. Hear me live Saturdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern on the Fringe FM.
Introducing Shadow Light Tarot from Waking Canvas, the Fringe FM's new contributing artist, Eric Tesey. This hand-illustrated black and white self-published deck serves as a reinvention of the tarot, never before witnessed. Each of the several suits of this 88-card deck lineup form an infinite panoramic scene. Even the included visual companion guidebook is entirely hand-illustrated, cover to cover, with beautiful visuals and esoteric symbols and artwork. The newly released deck comes in a custom magnetic box with its own travel pouch. The Shadow Light Tarot Premium Deck and its travel-sized mini deck Wonder Light Tarot are both available now from WakingCanvas.com. If you use the code word FRINGE, that's F-R-I-N-G-E at checkout, you'll receive an extra 10% off your entire order. To discover more, including a free reading and time lapses of all the illustrated artwork, make your way over to WakingCanvas.com today. That's WakingCanvas.com. We all have that story to tell in our lives. The winds were howling. The ground shook. You could hear rushing water. And then history repeats itself. When there's no power, refrigeration fails, stores with their shelves strip bare, ATMs can't operate, deliveries stop. Then what? These events can last days or weeks. You need a plan. In statements made during recent interviews, FEMA Administrator Brock Long has repeatedly urged all Americans to understand three truths. FEMA is broke, the system is broken. If this is the new normal, Americans can't rely on federal cavalry when disaster strikes. Don't get caught out in the elements empty-handed. Prepare with us by going to preparewiththefringe.com and get your 2-week food supply. 92 servings, 8 food varieties with 25 years shelf life. Normally $137, now only $75. Or get a month's supply, normally $247, now only $147, shipped in one business day. Just go to preparewiththefringe.com or call 888-440-7931. That's 888-440-7931. Get this great offer and be prepared while it lasts. We've heard your feedback loud and clear. You called it out, and now we're answering. All new live programming, 5 nights a week. Always remember, the Fringe FM is for you, the listener, and we appreciate your feedback. Keep the feedback coming. You can email us at talkback@thefringe.fm, call the station at 501-777-5631, or send us a message on Facebook at The Fringe FM.
Listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
Occult Arcana is a balanced and objective guide to those subjects considered a part of the nature of light and darkness. Addressed in this text is a compilation of material that will provide new perspectives and awaken latent abilities that we all possess. The content herein shall provide magical sustenance for adept and novice alike, and will help strengthen the cornerstone of mystic understanding and alchemical transmutation. If you are interested in this modern grimoire, you can find detailed information and ways to order by visiting www.thesecretteachings.info. Although esoteric and occult studies remain vast, they are rooted within a universal philosophy that is difficult, if not impossible by finite terms, to explain in words. Language places restriction and erects barriers to understandings. By this it is to be understood that there are some things man should consider far too sacred to profane with definition. For these concepts and the manner by which we live our lives, we shall take a note from the Greek philosopher Pythagoras. Quote, "Silence is better than unmeaning words." End quote. To get your autographed copy of Occult Arcana today, simply visit www.thesecretteachings.info or email The Secret Teachings at rdgable@yahoo.com.
Hi, this is Aaron Hunter, host of Real Paranormal Activity, the podcast where we tell real paranormal experiences of people from around the world. And we also conduct interviews with authors, investigators, psychics, and mediums. Real people, real stories, real fear. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on The Fringe FM. See you then.
You're listening to Lighting the Void. The call-in number is 1-800-588-0335. If you would like to text, you can text in at 501-777-5631.
Well, I don't think there's another topic that I want to talk about other than OBEs as dream exploration. Look, I mean this. I know we talk about this a lot, right? Consciousness exploration. But I'm telling you the reason why I like talking about it so much on this program, and I know you guys love it too, is because I believe that when we become effective explorers of consciousness, all of these changes that we want on the planet, that we complain about in the media, politics, everything, when we really start tapping into this power, we can change anything that we want. And tonight we're speaking with our guest, J.M. Debord, who's a very well-known instructor and dream interpreter. As well, you don't interpret other people's dreams, right? That's exactly what you told me, but you're an instructor in your people's own dream interpretation. And I'm anxious, man. I want to take the courses now because this is everything to me, is exploring what is going on in my mind.
Well, I gotta admit the truth now, Joe, is I do interpret dreams for other people, but I like to, and this is the reason I like to say this way, is what I'm really doing is I'm teaching you, as I help you with a dream, I'm helping you to figure out what you already know. I'm not going to impose my point of view on you. If I do my job, what I do, if I understand a dream better than you do, because you've shared with me this deep experience you've had, and I go, ooh, yeah, I think I know what that means. What my job then is to ask you the questions so that you figure it out for yourself. Then when the light bulb goes on and you've worked through the process in your own mind, if you reach that point where you know what the dream means, now that trail is open inside of you to continue walking down it, not just with that dream, but with others. So what I need to do is I can interpret dreams, and I do it a lot at Reddit. If you go and see what if you see my my user profile there, anyone can see what I've been doing on Reddit. So you go to Reddit, reddit.com/u/radowl, RADOWL. And you can see how I've interacted. It's all public, and you can see how I've interacted with people in all the different places where I've interacted with them. At the Jung forums, at Glitch in the Matrix, which, by the way, dude, for the subjects that you're into, you need to be checking out Glitch in the Matrix, because people come there with some wild stories about things that they've experienced. And yeah, maybe some of them are attention seekers, but I know that some of them, I know that a lot of them are real experiences that people have had. Maybe I've had some of those experiences too. But what I really like to do is teach people how to figure it out for themselves. There's an old saying, teach a man to fish and you feed him for a day, or give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. If I can teach you how to interpret your own dreams, then you don't have to come and hit me up every day.
Right.
There's only so much of me to go around, man. Between all the, the writing books and giving, public appearances and being on podcasts and creating my own content and stuff, this is, I tell you, it's enough just to be able to have an hour that I can drop by Reddit every day and help people with their dreams.
Well, I can tell, first and foremost, just I want to say real quick that you've got it together, right? And I don't know what you're probably going to say. What do you mean by that? Everybody knows that I'm scrambling all the time and I'm late and I'm trying to get everything because I'm running the station and the show. And you had this calm nature, right? When you called in, and I'm like, hey, yeah, let's talk about dreams, and right? And what really impressed me about you was right off the bat, you was like, yeah, well, hi, it's nice to meet you. My name is J.M. Debord. And I'm like, oh, yeah, duh. You know, I forgot about that. And I could tell that you've really kind of honed in on yourself there. And I think that we all need that. And we think we got to go to therapy and stuff, and therapy is great. But if we can really learn how to tap into our dreams, then we really learn ourselves, is all I'm saying.
Hey, man, I feel you. And dreams really are self-therapy. Once you've worked with your dreams, that's really what you're doing. And you, in the lead-in, you mentioned that, you know, a lot of us, we see what's going on in the world and we want to do something about it, but we're powerless to affect that larger change. You know, it's like you can't go and be like, you know, I want the government to be responsive to the people and protect our civil rights and, you know, get your hands off my guns and all that kind of stuff, you know, but it's like you can't really do much in that larger scheme of things. But what is the one thing that you really do have ability to affect and change? It's yourself and perhaps to a certain extent the people around you, because the person you are is going to influence your family and your friends and your community. So that is the power that we all have. And I very strongly believe that we are each responsible for our own thoughts, feelings, our level of consciousness. And if you can raise your level of consciousness, in the end, we are all one consciousness. We are all participating in this one consciousness. And if you can raise your little piece of it individually, you're raising it collectively. You know, all these boats are rising together. So you focus on you and your life and what you can do right now. You know, I've been watching, I go on every once in a while, I'll go on Facebook or something, and 3/4 of what I'm seeing are people just venting their spleen about what the government is doing.
Yeah,
and I go, okay, did they do that to you? You know, did they do that to you? Well, no, it's because that Nancy Pelosi is doing this or that Donald Trump's doing that. And I go, we are so far removed from what their little game is. You know, do it for yourself. And here's also another thing, Joe, is that I found this out after many years of exploring dreams and consciousness, is that your dreams are part of what creates your reality. You are being shown possibilities for your future in the dream state. It's being shown to you as story and symbolism, and the choices you are making are determining which probabilities for your future actually become your reality.
All right. Now we're getting into it. This is where I wanted to go. Sorry, I just got excited. Here's the thing.
No, I am too, man. People get fired up about this because they realize the truth, that there's this quantum level to reality where everything is just possibility. Your dreams are the interface into that. Now, if that's not enough reason, after everything we've talked about in this last, hour and 15 minutes, if that's not enough reason to take a big interest in your dreams, then I don't know what's going to get you off your couch.
Right. Well,
so go ahead.
No, here's the thing. So I took all this from an occultist point of view. Like, I went from the craziest sides of things like magic and the occult, what some people think is crazy, right? And it led me back to this consciousness and science and spirituality and stuff, the subconscious and symbolism and what's really going on. And, I've got a question here that I'll just ask in my own words, because I do believe we were discussing this earlier about how, I broke my small 2 fingers on my hand, punching the wall one time. We've got people that sleepwalk. Like, the brain doesn't know the difference, right? And everyone's like, well, that's not a big deal. Well, hold on a second. It is. What about the double slit experiment? So if the double slit experiment is showing us that reality has to be observed, and we don't have to go through that, everybody knows about that, right? So, and the brain doesn't know the difference between sleeping and awake, what is reality? And if it's just a blend, truly, then we can use our dreams and our waking life to affect either or. And when I had Laird Scranton on the show, he talks about the Dogon and symbolism of the ancients, and he decodes it. And I said, Laird, I'm starting to think that this subconscious spiritual realm, whatever you want to call it, and this physical realm is not just a place we go to after we die, but I think it's a relationship that's codependent on each other. 100%.
Oh man, I got some chills there. We started off this conversation with talking about how the waking experience of life and the dreaming experience of life are a cycle, they're a continuum, and one hand washes the other. Well, I think that also that when sometimes in a dream state that you are accessing these deeper layers. Now, a lot of times you can trace dreams back to memories of recent events, the memories that you're processing. This is neurologically, from the viewpoint of neuroscience, this is a major part of what we know for a fact that is going on while you're dreaming. We can also say, well, there's a lot of like emotional digestion and psychological digestion that goes on, but then there are sometimes that you have dream experiences that seem to tap you into something where you're in a reality where those dream characters, they know that they're in their own reality at the time. And it's not to say that they're not actually, their existence doesn't continue after you wake up. This is actually something that Carl Jung said, that you need to understand that some of your dream characters, the dream world is their reality. Now, sometimes I think that that is a reality that you're entering into through the dream state that exists independently of your dream. Your dream is just a portal into that reality. Now, I can give you an example of this that could maybe help with your listeners to wrap their mind around this. This was an experience that was shared with me at Reddit that helped me to understand that the dream is a place sometimes that you actually are visiting in the dream state. There were 4 members of a family in New Jersey who all had the same dream with the exact same details. They went to Central Park in New York. There was this skyscraper high stone structure that was a gateway. It was like Star Trek, like it's this gateway and there's all this light and color in it. And people were walking in and out of the gateway. They walked through the gateway and they went to Yabisu Gardens in Tokyo, Japan. It was a place where they had been a week earlier when they were on a family vacation and their father got called away to business. So the family cut the vacation short and went back home. So in the dream, they meet up with their father and they continue the vacation together. They go walking around Tokyo and stuff, right? So the son who reported this to me, and I talked with him, about the dream. He said, yeah, my mom had the dream. I'm telling her over eggs, and my mom drops her fork. She's like, wow, I had the exact same dream. And then his brother and sister come to the dinner, the breakfast table, and they're like, oh wow, we had the same dream. We were with our dad, and we were in Tokyo, and right. So later that day, while they were asleep in New Jersey, their dad was awake in Tokyo. They wake up, and he's on a different time, so he's now asleep. He gets on, the son, later that afternoon, after his father's woken up, gets on the phone with his dad and says, Dad, you wouldn't believe, all 4 of us had the same dream. And they described the dream. Now, in the dream, they had gone through the gateway and they saw their father sitting off to the side on a bench. And their father went, you know what? I had a dream this morning that I had decided to call off of work and I went to Yabisu Gardens and I'm sitting there on a bench just kind of enjoying it. And there's this big stone gateway and people are walking through it like it's a teleporter. And then you guys walk through it and you come and you find me on the bench and we went off and continued our family vacation. So now you have 5 people who've all had the same dream experience. And this was the thing that really blew my mind. Until that point, I'd always thought that shared dreams were some kind of shared brain signal, that this is like people who are sleeping in the same home, and somehow the electrical activity of their brains as they're sleeping is actually crossing with the other people. And so they're getting the same dream content because there's this crossed signals. Well, that's not possible since the father was on the other side of the world and sleeping at a different time. So that dream space was a place that they all visited together. And when their father went to sleep, he joined them in that dream space. The dream space was actually a timeless space. It didn't matter what time they were going to sleep. It didn't matter. Yeah. So this is the kind of thing. I used to be just a very conventional dream interpreter. I think that, honestly, Joe, I think there's enough that you can wrap your mind around just with conventional dreams and interpretation, that when you start getting into this sort of paranormal side of it, then you're like, oh, wow, you're going to blow a fuse. It's just too much information. But once I was able to understand dreams in the conventional and through dream psychology, then I started understanding that there are at least some dreams that are connecting us all together. And the author, Robert Moss, who's also known as kind of a dream shaman, Robert Moss said that he thinks that dreaming is a social experience. At least some dreams are a shared experience. And there are other cultures where this is a very common thing, such as the Aboriginal peoples of Australia. They have something called dream time, and they think that as a community, they all get together in the dream state. So, I thought
that's so cool to me. You have no idea how cool that is to me. Really.
This is the thing that really lights people up when I talk about it. I can talk about Carl Jung and dream interpretation all day, and then I start talking about this stuff, and people are like, "Ooh, wow!"
Well, we're all trying to figure out what's the difference, right, between the out of body experience and lucid dreaming. And I believe it was Gordon White and even Carl Jung that said, "Well, look, you're separating all this stuff as if they're two separate things, like you're physically coming out of your body or this or that." The reality is more than likely it's all consciousness, and you're just turning like Gordon White said, you're just sliding the fader up or you're sliding it down,
They're parallel. They're parallel states. They're like layers. So you can lucid dream and then go into an out of body experience. And you can go from an out of body experience into a lucid dream state. In fact, I know people who began with lucid dreaming and were able to master that state, and then they went on to the out of body experience. And they're able to almost consciously do it in a sense. I mean, they have to get into a deep state of relaxation. If you go to the Monroe Institute and you start doing the Gateway series, you'll quickly find that, actually, I won't say quickly. It's taken me years to get to the point where it's happening for me in a sense where I can get so deeply relaxed that my mind as a point of awareness can be separated from my body. And then from that point, that you can go anywhere. Well, now I'm still limited by my own beliefs, but there are things I do know people who've gone further than this with me, and there are people who've shared this with me in a very personal, intimate, this is what I experience sort of way. And I go, yeah, okay, I'm working at it. I want to experience that too. And it all begins with learning how to lucid dream.
Well, some people are more sensitive too, right? Have you found, because the other night I was with a friend and we were listening to the Gateway program on the headphones, like if you and I were on here, and I was trying to pass a stereo signal through to it, and they were like, whoa, and they felt like they were just sliding and felt nauseous and stuff. And I was like, wow, that, the HemiSync had them, I guess they'd never heard that, and they were really sensitive to it, versus me. It takes me a while to get in that state. Do you find that a lot of people can just slip in and out easier than others and move around in these realms a lot easier than other people can?
It depends on your ability to be able to relax and allow the physical sensations to just be sort of background chatter. Here's something for you that it might help to understand this a little better. Did you know that when you are in a state of hypnosis, there's if you take 100 people in a room, you might be able to find, say, 7 or 8 of them that will be able to easily slip into a state of hypnosis. And if you were teaching people about out-of-body experience, I would choose them as my test subjects, because they are the ones who can more easily just sort of let go of everyday consciousness, let go of awareness centered within their own bodies, and then go into these altered states where they can explore in deeper ways, where they can leave their bodies, their point of perception can expand or leave. When you are in a state of hypnosis, which you're never fully, you're not out of control. What you are in is you are in REM stage. I learned this from a hypnotist. I watched this thing on YouTube where he had a big crowd of people and he's talking to them all. It might have even been a TED talk, but TED kind of draws the line with some of this stuff.
I think I might have talked to the guy on the show, actually.
Was he the...
Was it Alan
Okay,
Nuremberg?
Awesome. That sounds familiar, man. I learned something from him from watching him, where he said, look at their eyes. When they drop into the state of hypnosis, look at their eyes. What are their eyes doing? They're dancing and bouncing all around. He's like, that's REM stage. You know what? You're so right. So you're basically allowing this faculty of the mind, the ability to be able to create dream imagery. You are awake, but you're allowing that faculty to turn on. And I think that that's also what is happening sometimes when you're, like, say, using the HemiSync. and you start having an out-of-body experience or something like that. What you're actually doing is falling into a state of REM. So then I get this all the time. At the astral projection subreddit, people will say, "Is it real? Is it just a dream?"
Right.
And I go, you're approaching this incorrectly. They're layers of the same experience. So when you're in a lucid dream, it's not, it can turn out of body, and out of body can turn lucid dream. But these are just two terms to really describe the same experience. And then they go, well, it must be just a dream then. And I go, well,
you're not getting what I'm saying. Right. Yeah.
You know, the people early in Bob Monroe's day, they did a thing where they went into lucid dream states together, where they were in different rooms, and Bob was listening to them both on headphones, and he was able to get them to a point where they could take his instructions, and then they met in a dream state, and this has been reproduced over and over again. People who are deep dreamers are able to go into a dream state and find each other in the dream state, pass information, and then have a third party verify it.
My goodness. And everybody that's been listening to this show for a while knows that that's exactly what I want to do. That's like my favorite thing that I want to do. We're at our news break here, guys. If you want to ask a question, we've got Jim just for a little bit more. So you can call in if you want. You can call the direct number too, which is 501-424-5130. I do see quite a few questions in the chat as well, and I got a couple of texts we'll ask when we come right back. Stay with us.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
This is Vance Nesbitt. Take the time to expand your mind by listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop right here on the Fringe FM.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Paranormal News. I'm Brad Bernards. A new space station experiment is testing whether would-be space miners can enlist some very small potential accomplices to do their grunt work. The experiment, called BioRock, hitched a ride to the International Space Station on board the SpaceX Dragon capsule that arrived on July 27th. It's designed to measure a common characteristic of microbes here on Earth. They can leach minerals out of rocks. With BioRock, scientists are measuring how well the bacteria can perform that feat without gravity. The project includes 18 different miniature reactors, each containing a sample of a type of rock called basalt and a strain of bacteria. The team is testing 3 different types of bacteria, including one that is found in the arid crust of the Colorado Plateau and one that can tolerate exposure to heavy metals. The scientists will measure how much iron, calcium, magnesium, and more than a dozen other elements the bacteria can pull out of the rock samples during their time in space. Later, experiments could test other microbes and other materials to better understand the potential opportunities. You might think that huge galaxies would be hard to miss, but astronomers have just found a whole pile of them billions of light years away.
The mysterious galaxies, which were previously unknown to researchers, were discovered by a breakthrough new approach that allowed astronomers to look more deeply than ever before into the universe.
39 massive galaxies invisible until now are changing our understanding of the early universe. The universe is around 13.8 billion years old, which means theoretically, at least, we can peer into the past to see what conditions were like when the lights turned on. Light that's 10 billion light years away, for example, takes 10 billion years to travel across space to reach us, so when we see something from that far away, we're seeing it as it was 10 billion years ago. And the more massive a galaxy, the more massive the supermassive black hole at its core. A study earlier this year showed us that these black holes are much more common in the early universe than we previously thought, challenging our understanding of how quickly they can form. The research has been published in Nature. Read the news at paranormalradio.com. I'm Brad Bernards, Paranormal News.
Right, me old Chinas. I know it's an ad break, but before you lot shoot off and make yourself a cup of Rosie Lee or whatever else it is you're going to sling down your Gregory Peck, you need to listen to me babble. If, like me, you found your way to Light in the Void via a downloadable podcast, you might want to take a butcher's at the Fringe FM Wind and Kite. You won't Adam and Eve how many other shows there are or what they rabbit on about. Ancient history, conspiracy, the consciousness, the esoteric, the occult, metaphysics, parapolitical, ufology, technology and spirituality, to name but a few. They got featured hosts like Ryan Gable, Jeremy Scott, Alex Exum, Tim Doyle, Cortana and Gigi, Susanna Ross, the Reverend John Polk, Michael Deacon and J.D. Lewis. You might find yourself listening to the thoughts and theories of the author of the fish you just finished reading. Or you could pick up the dog and bone, call in and tell everyone your own beliefs or experiences. So do me a favour, before you put on the Ansel or crack open a bottle of vino or roll a joint, go to the Fringe FM and see what you're missing.
Hi, this is Aaron Hunter, host of Real Paranormal Activity, the podcast, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hi, this is Kronox from Belgium, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
Pick up the phone, dial 1-800-588-0335, toll free from the United States or Canada.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void. Don't forget, tomorrow night, it's open lines. That's where we kind of recap the week. We talk about all the guests that have been on the show this week, and we discuss things together. I can't express also, I love talking to the guests on the show, just like our guest tonight. That we have with us, J.M. Debord, but I can't express just how important it is to talk to you two. Just like the caller called in last night after the guests got off the air, some of y'all's stories and relations to what these guests are talking about are big time stuff. And so just, don't be afraid to call in and like Amandala says in the Discord chat, because there's a lot of people chatting right now. If you're leaving like a paragraph in there, you might as well just call in, because I'm not going to be able to read that while I'm speaking with our guest tonight, especially this guy. Interesting fella, J.M. Debord, author and dream instructor. And yeah, this is like the stuff, man, that I love talking about, J.M. And I think it's kind of, I just find it funny that you went right into, hey man, there's people that do this stuff together. They go together, they dream together, they come back, and they can tell you exactly what that one another saw. I think that is the coolest thing. I've thought about that since I was a kid. And now that it's a real reality, like at the Monroe Institute and stuff that you do, I think what we want to know more is like, how do we do it? And you brought up earlier that in the show, and just kind of wanted to express this a little bit more, how important being calm and relaxed is to being able to do these things.
If you are bringing heavy stress or emotional turmoil, unresolved emotions, if you're bringing them into your dream state, then that's the first thing that your dreaming mind is going to focus on. See, the dreaming mind, the part of the mind that creates dreams is part of a system of the unconscious mind with the conscious mind, and then there are other aspects of the psyche, and it is a system. And Carl Jung says that it is a self-regulating system, and dreaming is the primary means for it to self-regulate. So there is a priority list. If there is something going on in your body, that is the first priority that your dreams give. Also, for rest and recuperation, you have to get that first. Dreaming is the pinnacle of sleep. This came from Dr. Ruben Naiman, who is a sleep medicine specialist at the University of Arizona. He says, dreaming is the pinnacle of sleep. There's so much that goes on that helps your body to recuperate. So you have to have that first. So once you've done that, then the next thing is that you are emotionally digesting the experience of your life. So if you're coming in with a lot of emotions that need to be processed in the dream state, that is what the dreaming mind is going to prioritize. You're not going to be able to get into these other really cool things that you can do in a dream state unless you first have taken care of these other priorities. So as much as you can do consciously to keep your body healthy, to have periods of rest during the day rather than just going for 16 hours straight and flopping in the bed. If you do that, then it is very unlikely that you're going to have the energy during your dream state to be able to then go, oh, hey, I want to meet up with this friend, and we said that we were going to fly in our dreams together. Okay, wouldn't that be really cool? Well, it would. But your body, your dreaming mind is going to prioritize the rest and recuperation that you need. So being calm, being centered, they're very important. Robert Wagner is one of the gurus of lucid dreaming.
Oh, yeah.
And Robert is one of the steadiest, calmest, most centered people I have ever met. I met him at a conference at the IASD, the International Association for the Study of Dreams. And I've also had him at Reddit for an AMA, and I talked with him for a while on the phone, and then I met him in person and all that. And the dude just radiates goodwill and calm awareness. So this is kind of a precondition. If you want to experience these things for yourself, a precondition is that you got to have things right inside of yourself. And once you do that, then you can start to open these other doors.
And do you think that you also find that important for people that want to have, even like people that just strive to have paranormal experiences of any kind of way, that I've learned myself that it's best to start out with the simple stuff. It's best to start with the mind first. Because I don't want to say it's all in the mind, because people have preconceived notions about what that word even means, the mind, right? But instead of going out and trying to just get out of our body or see an alien or whatever, if we started with the Jungian principles and relaxation and what you and Robert Wagner talk about, he's a fantastic guy too. He was on the show previously. Those things will actually lead you into these experiences. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. It's that prioritizing. You can't get to this, this other stuff, the really cool stuff that you can do in a dream state, until you have first figured out how to live your daily life in a way that is healthy and conducive for it. I'm working with a shamanic practitioner right now for sharing dreams together. This is somebody I've known for years, and I've read his books. I've been in sessions with him. We've done some really neat stuff together, a lot of deep healing. This is what he does. This is, he's that's what he does, So he said, we can meet in a dream. And I was like, huh? He's like, yeah. He's like, we'll set a date, and and we'll both go to bed with the intention of meeting in a dream. There's a place that, he's like, let's meet in Durham, North Carolina at the Rose Garden and Duke. And I'm like, I've never been there. He's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I went, okay. So after psyching myself up for about 3 weeks or something, we finally set the date, and that night, as I was going to bed, I really, really thought about this. And I went, okay, there's a precondition for this for me personally. And I felt this very strongly, and it resonated very deeply in me as I said, this has to come from the heart. It has to be something that I want to do. It's not because I need to do it. It's not because it would be really cool to experience. It's because, I mean, and then those things are cool too, but the core motivation is it has to come from my heart. I have to speak from my heart. I have to live from my heart. And that is what's going to open the door to this experience. That's what's going to protect me while I'm in the experience too, because man, you can get pretty deep into this stuff. And if you're not ready for it, you can blow a fuse. And the dreaming mind has a regulator that will limit you from being able to experience these things, whether asleep or awake. Remember, the unconscious mind, it's putting you through your tests first. It tests your motivations, it tests your heart. And if you pass all those tests, then you can start to then get into some of these deeper experiences. But my friend that night I went to sleep with, it has to come from the heart. And I've been working with the color yellow lately, all of the emotional and personal resonance of the color yellow. And I told my little niece that if I ever show up in her dream that she'll see a yellow sky. She's a very deep dreamer, and she's like 10 years old, and she thinks I'm famous, which is really cool, right? Because I've written some books and I've been on media and stuff,
cool.
you know. So in her 10-year-old mind, she has a famous uncle, and I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna, I'm not going to let the kid think otherwise.
Well, you're pretty well known anyways. That's cool though. That's really cute.
In certain circles, yeah, So that was the thing is that I was then kind of painting everything with this yellow. I was bringing it in because it's a color of the third chakra. It's a very much about willpower, and not just willpower, but just the ability to be able to think of something and make it your reality. That's the color yellow, and the third chakra is very much part of it. So I'm bringing all of this in before I go to sleep. I probably did some hemisync. In fact, I know I did. I did the hemisync relaxation exercise to get very deep, right? So that night, I'm like, I'm going to meet my friend in the dream. I have all the intention in the world. Well, no, it didn't happen, right? I wake up the next day. I've got my notebook there. I search my dream memories. I'm like, no, I don't remember my friends. I don't remember going to the Duke Rose Garden. I'm like, oh, shoot. So my friend writes to me, and he's like, you were in my dream. And I'm like, wow, what? And he's like, yeah, I had 3 dreams. And he's like, in the one dream, you told me that if you're going to do this, that it has to come from your heart. And I went,
oh,
okay,
wow.
Interesting detail. And he goes, and then there was another dream. Everything was yellow. He's like, the walls were yellow. The floor was yellow. The sky was yellow. And I'm like, oh, man.
And this stuff you never told him, obviously.
No, obviously, no. I want to be able to verify these things for myself too. So I didn't give him any clue. I didn't even know it until I went to sleep that this was going to be something that I was going to focus on very intently. So it tells me something that you have to have your motives in the right place for wanting to experience these things, because if it will do you harm, then you have a regulator in you that can prevent you from having the experience. Now, I do think that psychosis and deep emotional disturbances can override that regulator, and it can make things happen. It can make you have experiences that are actually internalized dramas that are being externalized. And Carl Jung said this also, that we externalize our internal dramas. And the more drama you have going on inside of you, the more it can be projected out of you, and that it can affect actually what happens to you in your life, and it can affect the people around you. So, like we talked about during the break, that some poltergeist phenomena have been traced back to the emotional turmoil of people who are there.
Yep.
They go into a house, like, oh yeah, there's this poltergeist in the house, and cupboards signature. Are, and all that. That's actually internalized drama. It's people projecting out what's going on inside of them. So, boy, doesn't that tell us something? The internal, your gateway to these external experiences is through your inner world. It's through the deepest inner heart of your own consciousness. Everybody has access to these other realms, but it's not getting out of yourself. It's turning deep down inside of yourself.
Wow. So if you think about things like hauntings, or what happened to another radio host, a friend of mine, Clyde Lewis, or a buddy of mine, Dave Cruz, they get around a place where someone has had an incident, like a heart attack, or it's well known, and they go there and they feel anxiety and chest, pressure on their chest. And you're like, oh, come on, man, you're faking it. And then you can say, oh no, they're not faking it. Like they take this in themselves. we like to think that that's happening because that ghost or poltergeist is affecting us. Are you saying that we're affecting ourselves because it's a part of us, or that we relate to it? Is that what I'm trying to understand this? Because I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, I think that there has to be something in you that resonates with it. Because I could take the amazing Randy to the same place and he won't feel a damn thing.
Right.
But he is not open to having the experience. It's not something that can resonate with him. In fact, it's known in research of these psi phenomena that there is a debunker effect where these things that they've been able to reproduce in other times and places, other circumstances, or in the same place but at a different time with different people there, then you bring in the amazing Randy or someone like that, and they can't reproduce it anymore. And it's because they have a field around them, and I mean kind of like a quantum energy field, that will not allow it to happen. So their own belief system prevents it from happening. You know, there's an old, from the UFO lore, there was a guy who was, they were a bunch of military and scientists who were on a plane, and the freaking UFO buzzes their plane. They're like on a military transport plane, right? And it's plain as day. Everybody sees it. And there was a guy who was like one of the scientists who was on the plane, and they went back and they're like, "Do you see that?" And you know, like you've always said that UFOs are just the figments of people's imaginations, or it's, you know, it's swamp gas or whatever. You know, it's the moon reflecting off the ocean. It's this, it's that. It's not a UFO. And they're like, there it is. It's the disc. I mean, the little guys inside of it are practically flipping you the bird. Like, do you believe this now? And he's like, no. He refused to believe that he's like, he saw it with his own eyes, but he refused to believe it was real.
Yeah.
People sometimes get so attached to their own belief systems that way that they won't allow these things to happen. So I think that there has to be something inside of you that resonates with, call it an energy field, call it, you know, the kind of linking up or synchronization of people's minds or energies or something. And that is what allows them to have these experiences. Otherwise, I think that you can live your entire life and not experience anything that is outside of, you know, the rational material approach to things, because
which
you won't allow it
really
to
makes sense for children too. Well, children, and that's one thing I wanted to talk to you about and ask you, but I got a couple of questions I got to ask you here. But while we have these super intense experiences as kids, hauntings, whatever, they're so real. And over time, our parents, they keep saying, look, it's all in your mind. It's all in your mind. Nothing's there. And they run that program. And eventually we learn to tune it out and the stuff goes away. Or, you know, you stay super sensitive to it all of your life. Let's see. Okay. So there's a question here from Craven. He said, what is your view, JM, on intention, how it works and its role in manifesting these kinds of goals in the dream state? How does intention affect it?
That is ground zero for affecting. Now, this is the thing to understand is that the unconscious mind is 95% or more of the total mind, and it has its own agenda. So you can intend something all you want, and it doesn't necessarily mean that the unconscious mind is going to respond to you in the way that you want. Now, it might show you, for example, it might show you your own personal roadblocks to having your intention manifest or to getting at what it is that you want. Actually, I have a great example of that. I have been trying to manifest abundance in my life, and I have been focusing on this as a manifesting exercise. And one night I had a dream that Bill Gates came up to me and we started talking. And I was like looking in a locker, and there was like some equipment in the locker, and we're talking. And he says that he likes to play guitar. And I'm like, dude, I'm a guitar player too. And he says, well, I run my guitar through Pro Tools to get like, you know, for the amplification and stuff. And I start thinking, wait, you can play your guitar through Pro Tools? And I'm going, well, what does he mean by this? And he says, yeah. And I tell him that I've been practicing the song "You're No Good" by Van Halen. I mean, it's a dirty riff, man. I mean, that's a crunchy song, but I don't really know how to play it on guitar. I've messed around with it a few times, tried to pick it up by ear, but for some reason in the dream, I'm telling him that I'm trying to learn this song "You're No Good." And then he tells me about Pro Tools. And then in the next scene, he says, well, I gotta leave now. And I think to myself, well, maybe I can take him home. Like I should offer to drive him home. And then by the time I get around to actually acting on that impulse, he's in the back of a car and he's driving away. So now I'm sitting there with the dream awake and I'm going, what in the world? I'm like, okay, well, first I was trying to manifest abundance through my intention to have this. And I go, well, what is it that, so now I see why Bill Gates was in the dream, because he's a man that has a lot of money, right? So there's abundance. And I went, well, what is it about the song, You're No Good? And I referred to something that I learned from the Kahuna system, which is that you have 3 parts to yourself. There's this higher part of yourself that is kind of out there somewhere, and it has ability to be able to, manifest your intentions. That's the big wizard behind the curtain, man. That's the higher self, right? So then you have like this middle and lower self. And the middle self is the one you're very familiar with. It's your conscious mind, basically, your ego. And then there's the lower self, which is more like living within the body. And it's almost kind of an animalistic intelligence. And when that song came up, You're No Good, what I realized is that deep down inside of myself, that's how I felt about myself. I mean, I'm this person now who presents myself this way to you, right? And I'm basic,
Yeah, you don't seem like you have that at all in you. You seem super confident.
But everybody carries, if you're carrying guilt with you, though, over shit that you did, a long time ago, then it can still carry with you. And that is what is interfering with me being able to manifest my abundance. That is what that dream told me.
Yep.
And then I went to my friend who's the shaman I told you about, who picked up on my dream. And he said, offer it to the light. He's like, you can never really get rid of this stuff. He's like, your job is just offer it to the light. So, well, that's what I've been doing. I've been trying to offer it up. I mean, I am doing it. I'm going through this process so I can clear the roadblock. So you see now how the dream is helping me to manifest my intentions?
Yeah, without the dream, you wouldn't know. Really, you wouldn't be able to dig into your unconscious and figure out what's going on, where the block is.
That the lower self cannot communicate in the Kahuna system. The lower self, you send your intention to the lower self, and it's what communicates up the chain to the higher self. It sends the energy up there, and then the higher self uses the energy to manifest. So that experience, realizing that deep down inside of myself, hey, my middle self says, hey, look, man, I give all my time for helping with dream interpretation, and I'm a mentor for younger men, and, I do all this stuff. I'm good to the people around me, et cetera, et cetera. And then my lower self is going, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It said, this is how you actually feel about yourself deep down inside yourself. Now, it's funny then that Bill Gates says that, he kind of gives me advice to use Pro Tools. I'm still trying to figure that one out, because if you know the software, the DAW program, and you know what Pro Tools is, and I'm working in audio book narration and stuff like that. And I don't use Pro Tools. I use a open source alternative because I don't feel like paying for Pro Tools. But I think that there was a deeper message to that. And part of it was being professional.
That's right. I was just fixing to say that. Like Stephen Pressfield said in his book, The War of Art, just become that professional. Do your work and do it professionally. That's what I had to do with this show. I wanted to do it for a living, and I want to do this for a living. This is what I want to do, but I don't know how to transition, and yada, yada, yada. And then I read Stephen Pressfield's book, The War of Art, and he calls everything that keeps you from doing that resistance. That's all it is. If you want to be a writer, then you need to do your work as if you're a writer in every single way. That's what you do. Don't pretend, just do it,
Yeah. It's not even faking it until you make it. It's living it now. It's presenting, it's doing it. It's living it. I tell people that the person who at work, let's say you all work in a bank, and who's going to get promoted to be the next big manager there? It's going to be the person who's acting the role while they are still just a teller, or, that they're lower down the chain. But the person who gets promoted, or people, are the people who are dressing the part, they're acting the part, they're living the part. Because the boss looks around and says, hey, who's the next person that I can promote up the chain? maybe this person isn't the smartest or the best banker or whatever, but they're the person who's playing the role already and is showing it in their demeanor, their actions, their presentation, and everything. They got to be that professional. And that's, I'm learning some of that. There's something that it's telling me that if I want to have abundance, then this is something that I need to master. And,
exactly.
I'm thankful to the dream for showing me, because intention and manifestation is a subject that can be really confusing for people. You can be like, well, hey, I intend to have this and I intend to have that and I intend to win the lottery and and it's like, well, wait, the universe is limitless with its abundance. It can give you anything that you want, but can you allow yourself to have it? Are you preventing yourself from having it? And that's where dream work can really come in, man, because you may not even know that there is this block inside of you, but the dream is going to help make you aware of it. And you don't necessarily even have to interpret the dream. The moral or point of the story is registering on you subconsciously.
Absolutely.
So I might have woken up the next day and not even remembered that dream. And I go, hey, I'm going to go start working more on audio editing because I hear that audio masters can make $100 an hour.
That's right.
Okay, well, I'm not going to hit the lottery, but if I can make $100 an hour, man, that's going to add up.
You're telling my story, man. Like, I want to do radio and production for a living. Well, I didn't want to do production for other shows. It just came to me as I was doing the podcast. Before I went live, the people just started coming to me like, hey, I would pay you to do this. I just want to talk, right? I don't want to take calls. And I'm like, and the universe is going, hey, here, take, and I still wasn't taking the stuff, and sometimes we block that out too,
Yeah, until the apple hits you in the head because somebody whizzed it at you at 90 miles an hour, right? I mean, that's what the universe does to you sometimes, to make you aware that, you asked for this and now the universe is responding. I've learned a lot about manifestation and I know that it really works. And I know that there's a couple of pieces of advice I can give other than what I've already said. One is that you need to be clear and specific about what it is that you want, but you also need to be open to the ways of allowing the universe to respond. If you say, I want to win the lottery, then you're giving the universe 1 out of a billion ways that it can create material and money abundance in your life. So if you're only focused on winning the lottery, then, you've really limited the ability of the universe to be able to give you what you want. So you need to be clear and specific in a way, but I also like to think of it in terms of what it would do for me. It's not just winning the lottery, dude. It's being able to travel. It's like going out for a week to Monroe Institute or ARE in Virginia Beach. It's being able to fly at will to go see family members. It's like, hey, that ticket's $1,000. Okay, well, I got $1 million, so I can afford it. It's what it does for like eating clean, for driving a safer car, for being able to make improvements on my house. And it's not just those things. It's how it feels. It's
right.
How it feels to you. I've been picturing that check coming into my hand, and I don't see the numbers. I know how I feel, and I just go, "Thank you, God."
Jim Carrey did the same thing.
That's how I'm trying to manifest, man.
You remember that? That story?
What is it?
Jim Carrey. He wrote himself a check for like $10 million or something. Kept it with him. We got to take a break here, but there's a really good question that I want to ask, and it gets kind of deep. And I don't know, would you be cool with staying just for a few minutes after the break and answer just a couple of questions? Yeah. That'd be great. Cool.
And hopefully we can get, if there's anybody in the chat rooms, lay it out there, and I'll try to rapid fire answer as many questions as I can before we go.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds great, because we can go as deep as we want to go with this. We're here with J.M. Debord. Guys, go check out the website too. Check out the Reddit links that we're talking about, dreams.reddit.com. jmdebord.com. If you're online listening, just open it up for your reference so you can kind of see what he's about. And I'm probably going to be in there with you. We'll be right back.
This is Sammy. Join us in the Deep South as we're lighting the void with Joe Roop on the Fringe FM.
Did you know that qualified patients can access medical cannabis in all 50 states? Cannasense is a medical cannabis collective that helps patients in all 50 states gain access to cannabis medication. Cannasense does this with a streamlined process and strict compliance with the Compassionate Use Act of 1996, the Affordable Care Act, and the U.S. Constitution. It is important for each patient to understand the legalities involved, the costs, and the benefits of cannabis medication. Through truth, legalization, and education, the medical benefits of cannabis will supplant recreational perceptions, and the real vision for change will be realized. Let the people and their personal doctors take control of their medical cannabis decisions before the greed of big business takes over. The tipping point for change is today, and Cannasense is ready to lead the charge and enable legal access for all qualified patients to medical cannabis through its proven system. For more information, go to thefringe.fm/care or click the banner on the website today.
Ahoy there. Gigi here from Shift Happens. Do you like to boogie down to topics such as ufology, the occult, and the mysteries behind our reality? Well, I invite you to join us every Friday night at 7 p.m. Pacific, that's 10 p.m. Eastern, as we like to punch that curiosity button and tickle that fancy. We tickle that fancy, but yeah, I don't know if that's the right analogy, but there's certainly a lot of tickling going on over here at Shift Happens.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
AncientLifeOil.com. For your CBD needs, just remember, AncientLifeOil.com. What does it do for the body, you ask? I can't say to the people in the suits that run the industry. Big Pharma is all over CBD because of its well, you know what I mean. Research the benefits of CBD on Google and come back to AncientLifeOil.com and purchase your CBD today. Non-GMO and all organic. You don't want to be using a petroleum product. You want to be using the cleanest CBD product on the market. AncientLifeOil.com. We even have CBD for your pet. Help your pet's discomfort. Help your discomfort. Log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Newly reduced prices to pass off the savings to the most important person. You. AncientLifeOil.com. And one more thing, we have topicals too. So if you have joint pain and some different issues that are going on in your body, you might want to use a topical. Think about it. AncientLifeOil.com.
Alex Exum.
This is Alex Exum of the Exum Experience in Live Talk, where we discuss current events, society, and culture. My shows are based in actuality, actual existence, contrasted with what was intended, expected, or believed. You can listen to me live Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 7 p.m. only on KTLK, The Fringe FM.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you're interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm. Or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
When I'm done running with the wolves after hunting down a half-ton bison, I look forward to a mind-teetering escapade evening on The Fringe FM.
You're listening to the Fringe FM, and I'm Michael Deacon reminding you can find my show right here on the Fringe FM every Sunday night at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, or by going to michaeldeacon.com. The choice is yours.
You're listening to Lighting the Void. The call-in number is 1-800-588-0335.
Welcome back to Lighting the Void Radio. We're here tonight with Mr. J.M. Debord. This is our final round. We're going to ask deep questions here before he takes off into the late night. Also, Lady Ann is in the shack with us as well. And I think... here's one question from Mojo in the chat that says, if two people can lucid dream together, does that mean the concept of the movie Inception can actually be true? How deep can two people, once they join into a dream or whatever, how deep could they actually go down the rabbit hole together?
Well, I think that it could be, almost infinite in a way, although I want to be clear that there's no way that you can impose something on another person if they're in a dream state. That was the one flaw with Inception. And I found that out from my friend who's the shamanic practitioner. He told me that he has been able to enter into people's dream states and that sometimes they've come into his own. And he does it to help them with healing. And sometimes they just find him because he's a healer. They find him in the dream state. I think that people are experiencing this almost every night and they just don't know it. It usually happens during the very deepest stages of sleep. So they're also the hardest dreams to remember. I find that they're very obscure. I've been able to pull a few of them up. But as you get better and better at this stuff, then you become more aware while you're dreaming. And this, by the way, is an extension of being more aware and focused while you're awake. Just moment to moment, being aware. Don't lose yourself in your own mind. Be aware of what is going on in your environment and what's going on in your heart. This is going to help you as you get into the dream state to become aware that you're dreaming and to maintain that. Now, with something like an Inception, I think, you can meet up in a dream and go off and have experiences together. And you are in a reality that is moldable to your will, to what your desires are. So theoretically, it's infinite. There's just one rule to all of this. Do no harm. Don't do any harm to yourself. Don't do any harm to anyone else. As long as you do that, you're okay. I was asked by George Norrie on Coast to Coast. One of the first questions he popped me with is he goes, would it be possible to enter into someone else's dream and say, plant a thought in their mind or do something to harm them? Like, let's say we want to assassinate, Kim Jong-un or something like that. And I was like, well, I know that there's a boomerang effect anytime you put that kind of bad energy out and you try to misuse these tools such as the dream state, that it's going to boomerang on you. Then I went to my friend and I asked him about it, and he basically echoed that back to me. He's like, if you try to do that kind of thing, then you are inviting trouble on yourself. You might have some temporary success and be able to have a limited influence on a person through bombarding them in a dream state, finding them in their dream state and bombarding them with bad energy. But he's like, what you're doing is loading the gun and pointing it at yourself, basically. Yeah,
no doubt about that. And I know there's several like occultists and black magicians that claim they can do those things without repercussion. But, there's a lot of people that have the ideas of mind control because there were government experiments about it and stuff. So that's kind of that conspiracy realm where people they worry about those types of things. It's a valid fear, actually, because once you start understanding the power of the unconscious or the subconscious, you could say, man, I could definitely be influenced by something without me even knowing it, because that's a lot of times what the unconscious does. So I think it's kind of a valid question and a fear sometimes too, Yeah. Here we go. Is there a difference? This is from Night Stalker. Is there a difference in the dream realm depending on if we go to sleep at night or during the day? Does it affect us differently?
I find that if I sleep during the day, that I'm in a lighter stage of sleep unless I'm in an absolutely dark room or I have an eye mask on. And even with the eye mask, there can still be some leakage. But I think it's not just the light, it's your own circadian rhythm. So yes, I think that there is a difference between the quality of the sleep that you get, which can also then, that's the first part of then getting into quality dreams. You have to be able to get into a deep state of sleep in order for the dreams to really kick in and get to those deeper ones, which, by the way, a lot of it also comes down to the amount of light that's in the room. You want it to be as dark and as quiet as possible, and also being able to regulate the temperature of your body. You need to be able to shed body heat, get down into a light, shallow breathing, but then not to get too cold, because then if you get too cold, it can also affect your ability to be able to get deep into sleep, which then helps you to get deep into dreaming too.
Fantastic. Let's see, one more from that side here. Let's see. I haven't been able to lucid dream much since I started working overnight 5 years ago. Is this common? I think that relates to that question there. And if it is, will we be impacted? Well, yeah, but I think because I'm reading, they got like 6 questions here, and I'm sorry I keep interrupting. I just want to ask one question for them. Okay. I think what they're concerned about and what they're trying to say is that they think that there's something about the night, obviously, where people sleep deeper and we get impacted more, right? And if that's true, and we start to all learn this as a species, how much more can we be, I guess, influenced?
Oh, we are, since there's so many night shift workers now, this could be impacting us in ways that it's hard to quantify. That, the ways that our natural rhythms are changing. I've got a big computer monitor in front of me right now, but I've got my blue light filter on, and it keeps getting, like, as the night gets deeper, it keeps getting more and more orange, so it's taking some of that harsh blue light out of it. But just the very fact that we are living in a world where we can light up the night. This is an interesting fact, is we used to sleep polyphasic. We would go to sleep soon after the sun went down, and we would sleep for about 4 or 5 hours. Then we'd wake up in the middle of the night and be awake for an hour or two. Then we'd go back to sleep and wake until the sun came up in the morning. This was how almost all humans slept. This was our pattern, because we didn't have light. We didn't have light bulbs. We didn't have, computer monitors. We didn't have any of that stuff. So our sleep is actually changing because of the way that we can light up the night. And that's also changing who we are as people and as a species. It is actually making us different. I think that it's affecting our ability to be able to get into deep phases of sleep and perhaps to have some of these other experiences. I mean, it's really hard if you're trying to sleep in the middle of the day. Even if you're in a totally dark room, your body wants to be awake. Even if you're dead tired from working all night, when the sun is up, if you've seen the sun, it tells your body to be awake. So now you're fighting against your body's own natural tendencies, and I think that it makes for a really dead sleep. I used to party all night long and stumble out, and it's 7 o'clock in the morning and
party
the birds are chirping and people are going to work, and man, and you get that, the sun is like the big eye of God that's like, looking at you, and then you go to sleep and you sleep until 3 in the afternoon or something like that. That kind of vampire sleep schedule, it was just, I felt kind of dead all the time. I felt like, like deadened in the sense of muted. Something was off inside of me. Emotionally, psychologically, personally, everything was off because I was fighting my body's own natural rhythms.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's more about paying attention to your natural rhythms.
Just going to sleep at the same time and getting up at the same time is real important.
Is it necessary to build the ability to manipulate emotions at will within the dream state?
Is it? I don't think it's necessary, no. Just being calm is probably the most important thing. Keeping calm, centered emotions.
Okay. And what about...
Hey, Joe, I just had something happen here at the house, man. I'm sorry to cut you off like this, but I need to get rolling. There's kind of an emergency waiting for me here.
No, if you got to go, brother, take off. No problem, man.
Thank you. All right. Hey, it's been great. I appreciate it.
You too, man. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
I'm sure whatever that was an emergency. Those types of things happen. I can try to help with, let's see what else we got here. By the way, make sure you go check out the website too, jmdebord.com, also dreams.reddit.com. He was only supposed to stay here 2 hours anyways, but if something happens, then he's, you got to go. It's live radio. So let's see, Mojo said, thanks for asking my question. That's very interesting that the two people can be in the same dream. It's also a good thing that others can impose ideas on you in your dreams. The best thing he said is that it's an infinite reality when dreaming, and that's great. I don't know. All I know is this, that Robert Monroe in his books did ask that question. He did ask, like, I'm trying to go see the president. I think he tried to visit the president in his third book, and there were people actually blocking the way to see the president. And that's when he started realizing that there were other people manipulating his dreams. I don't know if we really know the truth to that yet, because I've read a lot of books in the occult and about magic where, well, I'll just give you an example. Might as well do it. I just don't do this stuff, but I think I know what you're getting at, Night Stalker. So there's certain rhythms that people get into, not just themselves, but also as a society. And so we've heard of this thing called like the witching hour, right? So yeah, I'm curious too. I don't know what happened or why he had to take off so quick, but it's probably none of my business. Someone's saying, I'm curious what happened to him. I've read books where they tell you to do things at 3 a.m. in the morning on purpose, because that is the time when most people are asleep and the deepest asleep as a population as a whole. So if you were to look at how many people are asleep at this time in your area or whatever, it's usually around the witching hours when people are in the deepest states of sleep. And I'm not trying to freak you out, okay? But some of these books tell you specifically to do spells at those hours because people are most influenced, like binding spells, things where people are wrapping thread around stuff and doing things like that. So you might find, if you work late at night like I do, you might find at 3 a.m. or something, you'll get some weird things. Weird things will happen. You'll get weird energy. What I'm telling you to do to validate this stuff for yourself, because if you go out and you talk about it and you try to prove this to people, it's not going to work. So you need to go out, experience this for yourself, and write it down. Like dream journaling is like number one to me for everything. And I can't wait to see what he's got to teach about it, or figure out what's going on there with what he knows. But other than dream journaling, you should journal, in my opinion, everything, not just in the dream state, but also what happens in your daily life that corresponds with it, because you'll forget those things too. You will. And then later on, when you go to tell the story doesn't add up or something changed. So, I know Robert Bruce talks about that in his course as well. And he also talked about that when he came on here, that recall was the most important thing. Even the people that say, man, I just don't dream, I never do. I guaranteed you if those people journaled every night, even if they said, well, I think I might have had a dream, or I saw this shape or something, or a color, if they just start journaling, just like JM said, something's going to happen. Something's going to happen to where they're going to get rewarded. Like people are going to, whatever this thing is, the subconscious, the unconscious, the unconscious is going to start giving you more. And, yeah, I just got a message myself too. So what I want to do is I'm going to take a break. I want to make sure he's okay. Make sure everything's fine. I don't know. That sounded kind of scary, whatever that was. And you never know what's going to happen on live radio. Sometimes things happen, right? But we'll be right back. We got 30 more minutes left. If you want to call in at 1-800-588-0335, I'll be right back with Lady Ann from the Caravan. Stay with us.
Brian Gable, and I want to remind you to keep your radio, phone, tablet, or computer tuned to The Fringe FM, and visit the website thefringe.fm to listen to the entire lineup of shows. You can also catch my broadcast, The Secret Teachings, Monday through Friday, beginning at 12 a.m. midnight U.S. Pacific Time, right here on The Fringe FM.
Okay, here we go. AncientLifeOil.com. AncientLifeOil.com. Now, this is for CBD. AncientLifeOil.com. Again, for CBD. Where do I get CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. It's pretty good stuff. Organic, non-GMO. We are the Ferrari of CBDs. AncientLifeOil.com. You know, they say when you mention a person's name 3 times when you first meet, that you're going to remember. So I'd say to you, nice to meet you, AncientLifeOil.com. It's AncientLifeOil.com, right? Nice to know that you help people. AncientLifeOil.com. Think about this. Occasional stress, occasional anxiety, occasional inflammation, occasional stiffness, and intruders that get you down. AncientLifeOil.com. Okay, so I'm going to give you a fact for the day. So Ancient Life Oil does not help you with business deals. Hold on a second. If you feel better, it could help you make a better decision. Okay, I'm wrong. Just remember to go to AncientLifeOil.com.
Do you want to know the truth? Are UFOs real? Are aliens visiting Earth? Are governments around the world hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO Seekers, official partner of The Fringe FM, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Join us as we investigate locations like Area 51 by subscribing on YouTube at youtube.com/UFO Seekers.
We all have that story to tell in our lives. The winds were howling. The ground shook. You could hear rushing water. And then history repeats itself. When there's no power, refrigeration fails. Stores with their shelves strip bare. ATMs can't operate. Deliveries stop. Then what? These events can last days or weeks. You need a plan. In statements made during recent interviews, FEMA Administrator Brock Long has repeatedly urged all Americans to understand 3 truths. FEMA is broke, the system is broken. If this is the new normal, Americans can't rely on federal cavalry when disaster strikes. Don't get caught out in the elements empty-handed. Prepare with us by going to preparewiththefringe.com and get your 2-week food supply. 92 servings, 8 food varieties with 25 years shelf life. Normally $137, now only $75. Or get a month's supply, normally $247, now only $147, shipped in 1 business day. Just go to preparewiththefringe.com or call 888-440-7931. That's 888-440-7931. Get this great offer and be prepared while it lasts.
Greetings, galactic community. This is Suzanne Ross, host of Sci-Spy Radio, every Wednesday evening from 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific. Join me for this brand new show featuring a revolutionary new genre, Sci-Spy, merging science and spirituality to give us answers to the greatest mysteries of creation. Together, scientific discovery and spiritual revelation reveal the truth about who we are, where we came from, why we're here, and where we're going. Tune in to Sci-Spy Radio every Wednesday from 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific and discover the truth for yourself at thefringe.fm.
You know, food was different 60 years ago. It was minimally processed, free of pesticides. It was nourishing and healthful for your body. Today, GMOs, pesticides, herbicides, and heavy processing have depleted the nutrition of our food supply, which takes a toll on our health and energy. It's harder than ever to get the right nutrition. That's what Life Change Tea is meant to counteract. Our specially blended, powerful herbal formulas can give you more energy without caffeine. It's a mild cleanse, a mild daily detox. A good detox can help revive and bring back the energy of your youth. GetTheTea.com is the website. It'll cleanse you from the inside out with this herbal proprietary formula. Go to GetTheTea.com. There's no fillers, no GMOs. It's organic. Not available in stores. You must go to their website, GetTheTea.com. And their supplements are a great way to maintain your health. Read the testimonials on the website. Go to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. esoteric.com.
You're listening to Lighting the Void Radio.
Well, I just can't believe the week's almost up. The stuff goes by real quick. I did message JM. What I can tell you is that we only scheduled him for 2 hours, and he really wanted to stay and answer some questions because he was digging the conversation so much, which, by the way, I can proudly say happens on Lighting the Void quite a bit. But I don't know, maybe it was like, hey man, do you sleep on your back or your side? That could have ran him off too. I don't know. I doubt it. He'll probably answer me back. I just hope he's okay, because anytime someone runs off like that, because I've had to do it before, usually it's something either really scary or something that you serious. So I hope he's all right. So in the last few minutes here, I wanted to bring Lady Ann on, just Lady Ann from the Caravan, because I feel like if there was ever someone that was sensitive, because earlier you told me, or he told me about people that could tap into things easier. I feel like that Lady Ann is one of those people. So welcome to the shack, Lady Ann. Thank you for joining us, by the way.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. And I've listened to your podcast, and the Caravan of Lore is coming to the Fringe FM. And I've listened to the show. I've read your blog posts. You're a very, very deep person. And I think that you, based on some of the conversations that you and I have had, that I know for a fact that you're quite a bit more sensitive to these things. So I'm getting some questions in the chat about this, about things like the witching hour and 3 a.m., things like that. Mm-hmm. You've had quite a bit of stuff like that happen in your life, right? Just weird things that tend to happen to you super late at night.
I have. There's, a lot more activity in the middle of the night, and during the break when we were talking, a lot of the stuff that I do for the Caravan is all created in the night. I think that, there's just a different energy, and I'm just fueled with a lot more creativity then.
Yeah, but, what about the paranormal stuff and the creepy stuff? Because I wonder, like, but seriously, he was talking about sometimes we have these events that happen, like, I've brought up things like knocking, the 3 knocks. I brought it up with Dan. And we have weird things that happen to us at certain times. And what he was saying is, well, if these two realms are interconnected, the spiritual realm, the unconscious, and the dream world, whatever you want to call it, in this realm, sometimes we get into states of where we're kind of interlacing with those energetic signatures, and those types of things happen. And after listening to your show, I think that, I don't know, I could be wrong, right? But I'm just getting some type of intuition here that these things happen to you quite a bit, and that you're curious about them.
They do. Yeah, and I am. It's something that's happened to me since I was a child. I think my first experience was when I was about 5, and it's been from seeing something that I can't explain, to hearing, my name whispered in my ear, to feeling something actually touching my leg when I was trying to sleep. Yeah, there's been a lot, and I feel very fortunate that most of my experiences have happened with other people, because I would think that there was something wrong if I had experienced all this stuff alone. So, yeah.
So most of the time it happens when you're with other people. That's interesting. I wanted to ask him about that dream that I had when I was a kid, that I don't even know if it was a dream. Don asked me to ask it when I saw the buzzard and the thing went inside of me and choked me to death. He talks about that. Like, he was talking about those experiences that we have. whether we're dreaming or in real life, they stay with us because they're so impactful. I can't remember what I dreamed about last night, the night before, except for the naked dude pinning me against a wall, right?
Right.
But I can remember that dream, and I was 4 years old, I think. And the more I think, I was 4 years old. It was so freakishly scary and so horrifying that I'll never forget it. And I wonder sometimes just how important those things are, you know, or if it wasn't my mind trying to cover up something. You know what I mean?
I do. It's very interesting how things can stay with you like that. I did have one dream when I think I was 6 or 7, and it was really weird. I was in my bed, and there was this guy that was going around the bed, and he was like trying to hide, but he didn't seem like a regular man. And I remember he touched my back. I don't know, like his facial expressions were
like he was just walking around the bed,
over exaggerated, like crawling, literally crawling around the bed, and it was horrible. And you know, he'd peek his head up and then he'd disappear, and I didn't know where he was going to pop up next. Well, right before I woke up, he touched my back. And ever since then, even today, that part of my back is extremely sensitive. I don't know. It's weird. It's like it starts to twitch and stuff really bad when there's...
Maybe you got the demon touch, man. That's what it sounds like to me. I'm not trying to freak you out anymore.
That's terrible.
But if it's something, if you said it's still sensitive, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like somebody impacted you, and something did energetically, right? Impacted you that way.
Right.
I don't know. That's freaky, though. Crawling around on the floor. What does his face look like?
Over exaggerated. Like if you were to draw a clown face, you know, like the really large teeth and the really large smile and the cheeks that go up and the eyes that are really super big. It's really horrifying. And, you know, I was 6 or 7.
Wow.
So it was really scary.
Do you think that might be a therapy session with Joe Roop, with Lady Ann on the couch? Right? Do you think that might be why you're into dark things, because it impacted you so much? These things impact you so much that, yeah, they scare the hell out of you, but you just want to know so bad what they are?
There is a draw. There is a part of me that just has to keep digging. It's like it's a part of me and I'm a part of it. If that makes any sense, and I feel like that makes me sound weird, but yeah, no, there's just like this eternal connection that you have to keep going after it and going deeper and finding out more if you can.
I'm still afraid of the dark as a 37-year-old man. Do you think that's a bad thing? Like I can't
believe I'm going to admit this.
What?
No, that's not. I mean, I always sleep with the light on.
You have a night light?
Always. Well, I've got lamps. They're not night lights.
It's a night light.
But yeah.
A lamp is an adult night light. No, but yeah.
All right, fine.
If I'm talking to somebody in the dark, I'm good. Okay, I'll give you an example. Like when the power went out. Mm-hmm. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but the power went out here. We had a really bad flood, and the power went out. And when it goes out here where I live in the country, if you don't have a generator on, it's pitch black. Everything's pitch black. There's no street lights or no haze, no night fog or nothing, you know. And I just sat here. I couldn't do anything. I had candles, and that was it. And so all I had was my phone and candles. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to sit here for a minute. And the more I sat there, and the more the darkness and the quietness became into my awareness, the louder it got, right? And actually I was like, okay, I'm not going to freak myself out. I'm a grown man. I'm a big boy. I'm big and tough. There's nothing in here that's going to hurt me. But even while I'm thinking about those things, I still find myself getting more and more kind of afraid a little bit. I mean, I'll admit it, just a little bit of fear. And so I said, I got to talk to somebody. Isn't that weird? Mm-hmm. Like I have to talk to, I can't do it be on my own. So I got on my phone, and I hate video. You guys know that. I don't want to get on video, but I was like, it's dark, whatever. I'll get on video, and just started talking, and it made me feel better, as if somebody was in the room. And I just sometimes wonder what that is about, why we can't be, some people like me just can't be alone in complete darkness and be okay with that. I think that means that I've got some type of issue I got to work out.
Well, do you have an issue, or are you sensitive and can pick things up?
Maybe, because that thing where you're talking about how you could hear people whisper, like hear people talking in your ear, I start hearing that stuff, but it sounds like they're around me, like whispers. Right. And I think, well, that's just in my mind. That's probably just the wind or several different winds, and I'm putting that stuff together in my mind. But even as I talk about it now, and even as I think about it, it causes me to have anxiety. Did you hear that? I even went, I stuttered. Right? So it does. Right. It causes me to have anxiety.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that we also have to be careful. The more we focus on our fear, the more likely we're going to pull that to us. There's a lot of paranormal shows that say, don't feed into it. Don't fear it, because you're just going to make it stronger. So, but it's hard. It's a lot easier said than done. There was, I had a lot of issues with these cloaked shadow things growing up, and it was very hard to not just be terrified and want to hide under the covers, like to really fight that and be like, you don't have power over me. You're not here, and really doing the love and light thing. It's hard.
You have to tell yourself it's not there, right? Look, all these people are saying they're scared of the dark too. Well, just a couple. That makes me feel better. No way, Jose. He said, I'm scared of the dark as well. Good.
I think also the dark.
Not good, like, I'm sorry. Thank you for saying it.
Right. No, I think the dark also symbolizes the unknown. And what greater fear than the unknown?
Yeah, now that just freaks me out even more. Okay. So but I read this thing too also. JM was talking about, look, if you want to really do some dream exploration, you've got to learn how to relax. You've got to learn how to stay calm. Once you can get this way, then you can, it's easier for your body and your mind to start getting into these states and exploring things. Well, I was reading on Medium, because I follow some of the occultists like Liam Thomas Christopher and Mitch Horowitz. And Liam was talking about how not just to do meditation, but also, I mean, this stuff goes way back too, but I didn't know about it, but also to do meditation in complete darkness, because there's something about the dark that puts us in that state. And I think that goes back to the questions that was in the chat room. So I feel like that one of the reasons why I can't have these out-of-body experiences and do these things that I had been able to do is because I have some type of issue with being able to relax in complete darkness and silence. Like I can't get over the fact that I feel like there's something wrong with me. Like I need to fix it. What do you think? You think I'm messed up in the head?
I feel like you have some self-doubt, and that maybe you should, I don't know, definitely create a safe space. Candles, Nag Champa, and just really fill that space up with love and light, and know that you're, that you're safe and that there's nothing wrong, and try it that way first. I don't know. I don't think that you necessarily have to do meditation or anything in complete darkness.
Really? Okay. Well, the candles. Yeah. Just the candles make me feel good because there's light,
Right.
So since we're talking about dreaming tonight, I guess I'll tell you this dream. Maybe you can help me with it. I don't think you've ever heard this dream because you're new. You're new to the Fringe FM and everything. So, So when I was a kid, I had this dream that I was 4 years old, and I had this dream that my dad was telling me to go to bed. And I remember, he was married to Lisa, which was like his second marriage. So I know I was little. And he said, go to bed. And my bed was down. We lived in a mobile home. So my bed was down at one hallway, all the way at the end. When I peered into that hallway, I remember the feeling of looking down it, like just how dark it was down there. And I did not want to go down that hallway by myself, and I started, crying to him, kind of like, I don't want to. And he said, doesn't matter what you want, go to bed. I'm telling you to go to bed. Don't make me tell you again. Right. So I start walking down the hallway. And I get about halfway and I start to freak out because it's just getting darker and darker as I go down the hallway. Now, this is where things get kind of strange for me, okay? Because at that point to the hallway, to me, felt real. That part does not feel like a dream. It feels like an actual memory of real life. But what happened next is very hard to explain. I turned around to run back into the living room, and even the noise and everything, all like my dad was there, Lisa was there, somebody else was in the living room. I don't know who else was there. 3 or 4 people were there, but there's also a kind of a noise, the TV and everybody's talking, right? I turn around, and as soon as I turn around, I take a few steps to go back into the living room, and it's complete silence. TV's off. Everybody's gone. Kind of like Twilight Zone type of feeling, right? And I'm like, where the hell did everybody go? And my heart starts speeding up, and I feel someone grab the back of my arm, like, or the back of my shoulder, like, boom, And I turn around, and I look down the hallway, because I'm like, okay, somebody's behind me. So I turn around, I look down the hallway, nothing down the hallway. So now I'm even more scared, creeped out, right? Because somebody jerked me around, So I take off running towards the door thinking, well, maybe somebody's outside. And before I get to the door, there's a buzzard there. One of those big, ugly, nasty, stinking buzzards. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's not a crow. It's a buzzard. And the thing just kind of looks at me, and I'm frozen and I can't move. And it turns its head to the left and right. And then it sticks its neck out, goes down my throat, into my stomach. It's almost like I could feel it in my toes. All of my muscles just kind of jerk, like, if you can imagine what like Neo was on the Matrix when he locked up like that, when he was going into the Matrix for the first time. That's how I felt, just clenched all the way down to my toes. I don't know for how long that lasted, but I could feel my stomach turning. I can feel it right now talking about it. Like my stomach just knotting up, my toes clenching up, my fingers clenching up. And so I ran outside after that, and my dad is out there chopping wood. Now, this is what makes me think that it's a dream kind of, or something happened. So he's outside chopping wood, and then a witch picks me up on a broom, right? Just swoops me up, starts flying me around, laughing like a hyena. And I'm screaming at her, take me back home, take me back home. I'm scared, right? And she drops me off. Dad's still out there chopping wood, and he points at the trailer, right? And I go back to sleep. Now, for the longest time, I didn't tell that dream because how horrified I remember I was when I was a kid. And I thought, I started putting things together in my mind. Okay, well, why did it feel like reality? And why did it feel like half a dream? And I got to be honest with you guys. I felt like, did somebody molest me in that house and my brain's blocking it out? Because that's what I thought for a minute. So I asked questions throughout my life to my dad and to other people, and I found out that it was only Dad and Lisa there, and my dad is not like that, right, at all whatsoever. In fact, I know what he does to people that do that because I witnessed it myself. He should be in jail for beating someone so bad for stuff like that, but he's not. So what the hell happened, right? Did I get possessed? Did something take over my body? Did I have some type of weird consciousness awakening? You know? I can't stop thinking about it.
I could be wrong. And I'm just going to speak from kind of intuition and the things that stood out to me as you told the story. So the first thing was your dad sent you down to bed, right?
Yeah, down the hall.
And as you're going down, right, and it got darker and darker the further away that you got from your dad, right?
Right.
And then the second part was that you found him again, but a witch swooped you up and took you away.
What about the buzzard?
What if it's a... Well...
That was the scariest part.
So the buzzard consumed you, right?
Right.
So what I'm feeling like is it was a fear of being separated from your dad. To me, that screams separatism. I don't know. I mean, that would be... You know, I don't know your relationship between... Maybe it is. Maybe it is, but, you know, or maybe a fear of, you know, because you said that he was with Lisa, and then there was this witch, and maybe...
Lisa, sweetheart, though.
Right.
If anything, she was the only other mother that I called mom to this day. So, yeah, so what really freaks me out about the whole thing is the buzzard thing, right? And the fact that it was real. That moment to go down the hall, in my mind, was real. But now I'm wondering what's real and what's not. I want to know what the hell happened. These types of things, I think, and the reason why I bring it up is, I think, based on some of the people I've talked to, we all have some of these things that have happened to us as a child that we can't quite explain. And I think if we can just figure out what that was, you know, it'll answer a lot of questions for us.
Right.
It really will. And you don't feel... The only other person that I heard talk about this, it was Rich Giordano. He used to be on this network. And he told me that he saw a demon once, right? Like he saw like a demonic figure in front of him. And that the guy the demon put his fingers down his throat. And he could taste the salt on the guy's throat and gagging on the guy's fingers. And he could taste it in his throat and his stomach. And his stomach was knotting up. And when he said that, it reminded me of that. And look, Night Stalkers, he's putting stuff in the Discord chat. He said, dude, this is like... a succubus or some type of possession. And I wonder if it was like some type of generational, you know, spirit that just wanted to take over or something sometimes. I wonder about those things.
Right.
I figured you would know about stuff like that, Lady Ann. You know? I was like, if anybody's going to know, Lady Ann's going to know about this stuff. But you're kind of open. You're not assuming, huh?
Right. No, there's some stuff that I've kind of studied, and then a lot of the times I do like to try to remain open and just use my, you know, intuition and see what comes through that way.
Well, God, you know what? If you're right and it was just me being afraid to be separate from my father, then I feel like an idiot. I feel like I've been talking about this for so long, and that's all it was.
Well, don't feel that way.
Well,
no. I mean, that's simplifying it. I'm sure that there are multiple layers and that there is a lot more to it than just that. But I do feel like that was a part of it for sure.
Well, I do
always multiple layers.
It's making me feel bad because I do still live pretty close to my dad, and I'm 37. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's time to tell Dad, look, your son's going away. It's time to leave the state of Arkansas. It's time to get out of these woods, get out of this shack, go somewhere else, take this studio mobile, and get the hell out of here. And that's what we got to do right now, actually. Tomorrow night's going to be fun, though. Are you going to hang out with us, Lady Ann? I'm sure you are, right? You and whoever else wants to come on the show, we'll hang out.
Of course, I'll be there.
Sweet. So we'll all hang out. We'll all talk about this stuff this week and all the BS that happened. And we'll hopefully the callers will call in and we'll get some stories and we'll go through the share their experience side on the Discord chat. If you end up in the Discord chat, just remember you're going to land in the welcome room at thefringe.fm/chat. Find the hashtag main hall because you're going to be in there thinking that there's nobody here. Find the hashtag main hall and that's where everybody is. And also, don't forget that this show was produced by The Fringe FM. Please don't copy it without written permission. Music was by Chronox and Bundy. I also want to thank Jam Debord for coming on the program. I also want to thank Pacho, Don, Dennis, Eric, and Jeremy, and all of you lovely folks that listened tonight, y'all in the Fringe FM chat. We'll see you guys tomorrow night. Open lines, weekend coming up. Good night.
On this program do not necessarily reflect those of the Fringe FM, KTLK Digital Broadcasting, its sponsors, affiliates, or staff. Listener discretion is advised.